Good morning, beautiful people. It is Thursday, August 13th, 2020. We are back in Indianapolis, Indiana. It is beautiful. AJ Hawk and Darius Butler, although they were with us the past 2 days, are not with us today. They will forever be thanked for their contributions to the shows down in Orlando on the patio. I got my physical down there to see if I can wrestle in 9 days from now at NXT TakeOver 30 against Adam Cole. Last night, he lost his mind on camera, begging and asking and daring me to come see him face-to-face next Wednesday night. I want to let you know, no problem. I will walk my ass right back into that arena. I ain't scared of nothing. No problem at all. So we'll be down there next Wednesday yet again. Orlando was very nice, and it was great to find out. And I have been somebody since retiring who has hidden from doctors. Okay. Whenever you're in the NFL, before you go to training camp, you saw all the swabs and things that they were doing for that. But the training camp physical that you have to get is a deep one. EKGs on the heart, the brain gets checked, every single joint in your body. It's like an hour and a half long process, but you're waiting in line because there's like 100 people that have to get defied. It is a long day when you go through your physical. I have not done that since I retired because I was living by the mantra, if I don't believe I have something, I guess I just don't. And does my knees feel good? Yep, knees feel good, so there's nothing wrong with it. Went through that entire physical. Hey, I think I'm healthier than I was like 5-6 years ago, and I love everything about it. I got those reports back from doctors. I was like, really? They're like, yeah. I was like, okay, you're damn right. Heart's doing what? Yeah, perfect. Okay. How the knees look? Well, there's a little arthritis in there for sure, but they look good. I'm like, I've known that since I was 16. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Big day in sports with all the boys here at Nick Moraldo. He's going to be on the ones and twos, playing music in and out of the breaks. At Boston Connor, rocking his brand new Pat the Patriot jersey.
No, this is actually a Cam Newton jersey. The Pat the Patriot, I believe, is becoming number 1776.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of numbers on the chest there, but Pat the Patriot has a big chest.
Yeah, big chest.
Hey,
he's huge.
Hey, big chest.
Yeah, he puts up I think 350 right now.
Yeah, he's like Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Remember when AB was big chest there for a little bit? That was a good time. That was a good run.
Tony Big Chest.
Tony Big Chest.
Yeah.
Cam Newton is going to dominate with the Patriots, I think, this year.
Oh, yeah. There has been one report out of camp that the one thing I loved was he is already the show. Cam Newton's already the show.
You know what my favorite thing is? All you New England stooges that talk into microphones, they were like, Jared Stidham's going to be the starter up there.
Well,
Cam Newton, if he thinks he's going to come in this system to be a starter, not over Jared Stidham. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
There was idiots that were saying that with a very straight face. And it was all, and no, it wasn't.
No,
early on.
I never said,
Early on.
Now
you're wearing the jersey.
No. You know exactly who you're talking about. I never said that. As soon as Cam Newton came in, what did I do?
You said he's not going to be able to be number one.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said I feel bad for Pat the Patriot because he has to give up the number, and he was the season vet.
You're an idiot.
I never said. I taped over my Brady jersey with the Cam Newton 1 and the Newton name. I knew day one he was coming in as a starter. With that being said, he goes down. We have another Hall of Fame quarterback, 2 actually, with Hoyer, and Hoyer was taking the first team reps.
Hoyer's completion percentage last year with the Indianapolis Colts was very high. The problem was it was to the other team on a very regular basis. Now, he did not have any opportunity because he literally came to the Colts, I think 4 days before the season started, had no idea what the playbook was. Then when Jacoby gets hurt, he gets thrown in there. He was throwing a good ball. It just so happened to go to the other team every single time, it felt like. At Ty Schmidt is here. We missed you in Florida. You had to hang back here just in case the connection wasn't working. You were potentially going to host the show all by yourself. Were you excited for that? How was the 2 days while we were gone and you were here?
I mean, it's always a little ominous and weird when not everyone's here just
Good
because – you know, I mean, you're so used to like being in a routine and everything, and then after the show, it's kind of just like, all right, well, now what do I do?
Aaron Rodgers, big day for Aaron Rodgers. He was on, who's going to be joining us. I talked about this yesterday. Kyle Brandt has a new podcast called 10 Questions with Kyle Brandt. It's debuting today or yesterday.
It was yesterday. Yeah.
Yesterday on Spotify and everything. It's like that. And Aaron Rodgers is his first guest. And Aaron Rodgers, we love Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that he got Aaron Rodgers on there, can't wait to listen to that. Kyle Brandt will be joining us today. Yesterday, he was supposed to join us on the debut of the podcast, but his little publicist is a stooge and thinks that they're just going to bully me. That is not how it works. So Kyle Brandt and I actually talked privately.
Did you?
And he was like, I just want to come on and talk. I'm like, yeah, my guy. Because I am a Kyle Brandt fan.
Oh, yeah.
And I just didn't like getting bullied by his publicist saying I got 12 minutes with him. I got to plug 17 things and then let him go because he's got another interview. It's like, well, that's not how this works. And by the way, the other interview that he might be going to, that show might have been around a lot longer. I understand that. And that show maybe has been more critically acclaimed. And that show might have won more awards than all the other shows. And other shows that have won these sports Emmys and everything like that may let you do that. I just want to let you know, that's not how it goes down around here, okay? You don't tell me I got 12 minutes or something. What if we have a good conversation at 11 minutes and we're just getting started? What if we are just cracking into the Kyle Brandt vault that we all want to get into? From being Jim Rome's producer to going on Good Morning Football to becoming one of the best personalities, not only on NFL Network, but in sports media today. What if we get into that at 11 minutes in? And by the way, what if minutes 15 to 22 are the ones that really sell somebody on listening to the podcast? You ever think about that, you old-ass publicists that have no idea? You don't. But that's how was the podcast? Pretty good?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through. I mean, Rodgers more so now than ever is just opening up a lot more, which he typically doesn't do. And I think this show is probably a big reason for that. He's more likely to go on like a show that he trusts the person who's hosting it. Like I've heard more from him in interviews in the last like 3-4 months than I have during the entirety of his career.
Well, he was getting pushed out the door. At Jason
True,
McAfee's here. Viva Lazito, what's that?
Ready to go.
What's that?
The sound clip of Pat the Patriot, him saying that will never go away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Pretty past
again,
that.
I didn't say Stidham was going to start. I felt bad for Pat the Patriot.
We are very past that. I mean that we are incredible. You were like waving at me while I was talking to Ty there about Aaron Rodgers.
Tell me it's ready to go.
Yeah, you were pumped about that, and I appreciate you doing that. But
We'll just scrap it.
yeah, no, I think you hang on to it. I think we definitely hang on.
back up.
No, we might as well play it.
No,
We
I
might.
think just X out of
No,
it.
no,
I
let's
X out
play.
of it.
No, you can't X out of it. We got to play it right now. Let's run that thing right now. Nobody really knows what he's going to do. I hope he sticks with the number one because number one is
Hunter says there's no way that the New England Patriots organization will let that happen.
what him wear one. Why?
Pat the Patriot's been number one since 2002. I mean, he is the 18-year vet on the team compared to Cam Newton.
Oh,
who's
so
new.
you think Bill Belichick looks at Cam Newton with a straight face and says, "Listen, Pat the Patriots number one. You can't be number one."
I genuinely, yes.
That was a genuine conversation we had this morning.
That wasn't the argument.
Yeah,
The
nobody
argument-
really knows what he's going to do.
The argument was that Stidham was going to be the starter, but
No,
I didn't
shut
say
up.
that.
Listen,
I didn't
shut
say
up.
that. I didn't say that.
Shut up.
That was the other guy.
Just shut your face. Just shut everything. I mean, Zito made us go back to show how stupid you are. You just watched it with your own two eyes and those COVID glasses, and now we're off and running, understanding that you are just like every other New England stooge that is in front of a microphone. It's like, Stidham's our guy, Cam Newton. I mean, really. And why do you guys feel that way about Cam Newton, by the way? What was it?
No,
What was it about
again,
Cam Newton
we
up
can,
there in
we
Boston?
can go back when we first got him. That was strictly regarding the number one. That had nothing to
Which
do.
we were
with who
literally
was
just
starting.
talking about.
We were talking about who? We were talking about the guys in New England who said Stidham was going to still start.
At Evan Foxy's back there. At Viva Lazito's back there. Appreciate you, Zito. At Jason McAfee, 412. Happy birthday yesterday.
Happy
And
birthday.
on the phones, 1-833-622-3331. Our intern without the mullet, Mitt. What's up, Mitt? How you doing, bub? Good? No microphone for the kid. That's probably by design.
son.
And it's also because we lost a microphone. We all remember how that happened. But we did replace it for out here, sitting on the it is busted down a little bit. I guess we did not fix it. New hire here, Mr. Mitch Shansuri.
Thanks for that great introduction. Is this working? Is this still?
Yeah, the mic is working, but it is definitely
It's terrible.
The thing needs a little
WD-40.
no, it needs a little Roman.
There you go. Yeah.
The thing on there. Can't wait to hear some impression pop out of nowhere whenever we're talking about things. Speaking of, let's get to it. Big day in the Dallas Cowboys franchise yesterday. Jerry Jones, the man who did the draft from a mega yacht and was hanging out. Aside from Cliff Kingsbury, the most biggest flex setup of draft night was Jerry Jones from his yacht. By the way, had a good draft. Seems to be something that Jerry Jones does do on a regular basis. Is he has a good draft, brings in good talent, and then when he brings in the good talent, for whatever reason, they were never able to really get going. I mean, they're always on national TV because Jerry Jones, I do believe, this is hearsay, he is a part of the committee for the NFL that negotiates the TV rights, and the Cowboys, whether you like it or not, their fan base is massive. And Jerry Jones is an owner that people either love or hate, so it's great TV. Anytime he speaks, people are going to listen and talk about it, especially in the sports world, because they are the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I, along with many others, have hated that for a long time because I've been a part of teams that were obviously better than their team. I feel like more interesting than their team. But then you look on Sundays, primetime television, Dallas Cowboys are going to be on there because the Dallas Cowboys fan base is so big. And the reason why their fan base is so big is because their owner was a marketing genius for a very long time. He marketed them as America's team. He went out there. He was the first one to really start traveling the team around to build the fan base. I mean, Jerry Jones, if you ever talk to him about business and listen to him talk about business, it is awesome to listen to. He's a very, very smart guy when it came to building a brand of the Dallas Cowboys. And that'll probably live on forever as long as the NFL, even past Jerry Jones, because Jerry Jones was that damn good at planting a seed of fanhood for people for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the entire drama surrounding the Dallas Cowboys the last couple of years was this. They had a guy that clapped as their head coach.
Yep.
A lot of smiling, a lot of clapping.
Here you go, boys. Come on.
Come on, guys. We suck.
Good.
Why do we suck so bad? Good work, boys. We're probably not going to win a playoff game again, but we are upbeat positive. Jason Garrett, I don't know if he deserves that. I've never met him before. He is now offense coordinator for the New York Giants, so somebody had to like him. But they move him out. Mike McCarthy comes in. Here we go. Then the number 2 drama piece surrounding them for the last couple of years has been their quarterback, Dak Prescott, a man who was drafted late, was not expected to become their starter when Tony Romo was there. Dak Prescott literally played so well, he forced Uncle Tony Romo out the door to go into broadcasting to make, $70 million a year commentating games and everything like that. But Dak Prescott has been the guy for that franchise, underpaid for years and years now. And the conversation has been, hey, Jerry, you should lock in this quarterback. This is a guy that you should want being the face of your team, being your QB. And then Jerry always said, hey, I just want to win games. That's literally what he said last year. Let's win games, and then we'll talk about it. So then the conversation was, wait, is Jerry not sold on Dak Prescott? Is Jerry think that if Dak doesn't win, he's not going to pay him? Then we go into last season. Everybody's like, should extend him. He's going into his last year of his contract. He should do this. He goes, nay, not going to do that. Kellen Moore, the small little lefty from Boise State, becomes the offensive or the quarterback coach for Dak Prescott. They put in a lot of work going into the contract year, which everybody does. Dak has his best year. Cowboys don't win a lot, but Dak has his best year. So now the conversation is, congratulations, Jerry Jones. Instead of extending him before last season, now you're going to have to break him off. They end up paying everybody. $163 million in guarantees and contracts all around, or not in guarantees, but in contracts all around the Cowboys. We're talking linebackers, wide receivers, offensive linemen. Now D tackles are getting brought in. Head coaches are getting brought in. Dontari Poe, Clinton Dick, Alden Smith, new kicker, new backup quarterback, signed CeeDee Lamb as a first-round draft pick. They're paying everybody in the Dallas Cowboys organization except for the quarterback. And since it's the Dallas Cowboys, everybody was talking about, when's he going to pay? When's he going to pay? Franchise tag gets hit. Oh, they're going to negotiate. They're going to negotiate. That negotiation period comes and goes. Dak Prescott now playing on a franchise tag, which is like $30-some million next year. He is making a lot of money, but for whatever reason, he did not get locked down long term. Jerry Jones spoke about it yesterday at a press conference and said, we are now at the point of time in the world, basically, where it would be right to talk about that generational wealth type deal for Dak Prescott. Now, this is the guy who just handed out $100-some million worth of contracts, what you have to do in the NFL. You have to pay people anyways. He just did the draft from the yacht, which is awesome, in the middle of a pandemic here. I think people are still locked in their houses at that point. Oh, yeah. He's cruising around the Caribbean while making draft picks. Give me that player there. Hey, let's stop by Jamaica. I would like that player as well. So, I mean, there is a lot of lack of self-awareness in that thing. But I think whenever the Chiefs got this deal done with Patrick Mahomes, everybody was very intrigued to see how they were going to be able to pay him because nobody knew what the salary cap was going to happen with there potentially being no fans in the stands, being no day-to-day ops at the stadium whenever you're selling concessions because we don't know if there's going to be anybody in there. Hell, we don't even know 100% if there's going to be able to be a full season. So whenever the Chiefs locked in that deal, everybody was like, damn, they love this guy. And for the next 2 years, Patrick Mahomes isn't even in the top 50 salary cap hits in the entire NFL somehow. He's still getting $500 million. So that means that last 8 years of that deal, by the way, he is probably going to be number one until this Dak deal gets done. But Dak then had to come out and answer. And obviously, just like Jalen Ramsey we saw in Hard Knocks when he was asked about his contract, and he said, listen, I'm going to let them figure that out. I'm going to focus on my job. And the reporter goes, well, is that how you really? Sure. He's like, shut up. All right, you just shut up. I answered your question. Dak Prescott handled it the exact same way. And that's what everybody inside the Cowboys organization has said about Dak. They said Dak handles things the right way. He's the hard-working quarterback. He's a leader. He's the one that puts together all the offseason workouts. And you don't hear that a lot, by the way. You don't hear about Dak and the Cowboys until training camp time. You don't hear about the offseason workouts. You hear about Tom putting together the groups. You hear about whenever Peyton was playing, Peyton was putting together. You hear about all the OG quarterbacks. You're like, oh, they're throwing. I guess Dak was a guy that was putting together the entire team there, even as a rookie and moving forward. So everybody's confused on why they won't pay him. I'll tell you why. Jerry Jones just wants to win some games. And Jerry won't say it. Jerry says, I love Dak Prescott. He's the quarterback of our future. He's this, he's that. But when you're talking a $200, $300 million deal, and even though Jerry Jones said, my hands don't get cramps writing checks, I think his brain got a little bit of a cramp and said, wait, we have not even really done anything. Another team in our division has won the Super Bowl since we have had this guy. I'm supposed to pay him $400, $500 million, right? I ain't going to do that, but how do I handle it? We love him. We just can't pay him right now. We love him, but we just can't pay him. That's going to be something that's talked about until a deal gets done or until somebody else comes in and potentially plucks Dak Prescott because he is damn good. And we'll find out. Is it just the quarterback on why they weren't winning, or was it potentially the entire culture that was down in Dallas? The same culture that has a practice field, that has an entire business building around it with windows to the practice field, which I assume Mike McCarthy has come in and blasted all of them out and shattered them so you couldn't see anything. Is that the reason why, or is that the reason why? And I think we all sit on the edge of our seat wondering why the hell they didn't pay him and get this deal done. Because, by the way, these deals are only going to get more and more expensive as you wait. And I assume Jerry has already thought of that, but they need to figure it out.
Given everything that's happened and, like, Jerry just basically doing all this lip service and then Dak saying he still wants to be the Cowboys quarterback for the rest of his career, do you think this has strained, like, the relationship between them quite a bit or not really?
I think Dak is so – now – I would assume in Dak's back of his mind, he's like, hey, what the hell is going on here? Mm-hmm. And everybody talks about how, business is business. And when you go into negotiations, business is business. And the only negotiations you ever hear about, by the way, are the ones with big numbers in it. And I would assume the players in those negotiations are excited how the negotiations went. You don't hear about all the other negotiations that happen for the people, I don't want to say like me, but yeah, like me and other people in the middle who are making like a 1.5 million as opposed to the league men at 800 grand, the people that are making 2.1 million that you don't really hear about that are maybe like a fourth linebacker, a fifth linebacker that's playing special teams. Those negotiations are terrible. I mean, and I think people understand that I'm a pretty big chip on the shoulder guy. You say something about me, I hate you forever. Those negotiations were something that were very, very, very tough for a person like me to be a part of. Well, you blah, 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 you blah, blah, blah. You also, it was Pawn Stars, and I was the gun that was sitting on the counter, and Rick didn't bring in the expert. It was just Rick talking the entire time, and that was what I felt like, and they were just bashing me. I'm like, yo, what is wrong with these people? And then as soon as the deal's done, and I got franchise tag, as soon as the franchise tag's done, I'm supposed to walk back in that building and be like, oh, you're awesome. Thanks for everything you just said about how terrible I am, even though everything that I've done proves the exact opposite of that. But hey, happy to be here, excited to be here. There has to be a little bit of that. But if you think about Dak Prescott, he just saw somebody get $500 million. So what is Dak Prescott going to do? Dak is going to try to put everything aside and just worry about balling out this year. And he knows he's with a guy who has had very, very big success with quarterbacks. I think all Dak is worried about, not with Jerry, His agent and Jerry will figure that out whenever the time comes after the season. I think he's worried about getting on the same page with Mike McCarthy, getting his offense rolling, because he knows if he wins and they do well, guess what? He gets paid. 18 minutes after the hour, got to get to a break. Shout out to the Cowboys giving us something to talk about that seems to be a little bit different than the college football drama that's going on. We will come back with that. Dabo Swinney just took a swing at the Big Ten and Pac-12. If they listen, can we be real up here? I've been doing that a lot lately. Can we be real up here? Can I speak my mind up here? Am I allowed to just say whatever I want? Dabo, please say what are you doing? It does not matter if the Pac-12 and the Big Ten are in this or not. That does not put any asterisks next to the champion. You've seen it. Who was it last year? LSU, Clemson. Who was it before that? SEC, AC. Who was it before? SEC, AC. Yeah, now, granted, Ohio State, it sucks for them, and they're going to have to figure that out. But Pac-12 hasn't been relevant since the Bush push. And that's what Dabo basically said. Yep. And, by the way, everybody in the SEC feels the exact same way. Every fan of the SEC feels the exact same way. I would assume everybody in Clemson feels the exact same way, because talking about, and Georgia Tech, by the way, they're going to be good, but that Collins guy can recruit. They are going to have some studs down there. And that name, image, likeness thing in Atlanta. And this is a prediction I hope we kind of put into a spot. 3 years from now, I think Georgia Tech, we're talking about being like a powerhouse. Strictly because the name, image, likeness thing with Waffle House, Coca-Cola, Turner, Chick-fil-A, they're all in Atlanta and want Georgia Tech to be good because Georgia Tech is Atlanta's school. And Jeff Collins is a recruiting guy. So there's going to be, I think, some sign. I think he's going to get some recruits so people are going to be like, damn. But right now, the ACC is obviously Clemson's, and the SEC is obviously doing what the SEC does. And Dabo is probably just complimenting the Big 12. But the Big 12 hasn't really been relevant either. Oklahoma will get in there and just gets boat race. And no offense to the Big 12. West Virginia's in the Big 12. But it has been a very much two-horse race here for the recent history. Now, Ohio State is getting screwed here.
Oh, yeah.
If you talk grand scheme. Now, granted, they are being safe. I hated the people that came after me yesterday for saying the state of America's sports fans' mental health, college or the NFL. We're trying to have a conversation about what if it was gone, which would be misborn. I got a bunch of people, you're going to talk about mental health when it comes to sports. What if they die? I'm like, all right, obviously death is much more serious and all that stuff. We don't live in that world, pal. This is a sports talk show. But the thought of the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 going on with the season and the Big 10 just kind of watching along, that is going to hurt Ohio State, I think, in recruiting very, very much so. What's Nick Saban going to say? Well, where else are you going to go? You can go up there to Ohio State. You know, the Big 10, they don't even like football.
You want to play in the spring?
You remember? Oh, you're going to play spring ball? We play spring ball, too. You know what? It's not real.
You know when the draft is?
And Ohio State, by the way, fans know that. Mm-hmm. And they were unloading on that commissioner yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's going to change a damn thing. But if Ohio State was to say, peace, we're leaving, the Kevin Warren commissioner was like, well, then what's some good riddance, don't ever come back. So you're telling me if Ohio State goes down to the SEC or the ACC and does this whole thing and plays this fall, and they say, all right, we want to come back to the Big Ten, that commissioner goes, nope, Ohio State, get the hell out. Well, then Big Ten's good as dead anyway. So it's like, what are you? Now, granted, obviously, Wisconsin and Penn State, I get it, and Michigan.
Minnesota.
And we're talking strictly football here, not everything else. But so you're telling me, Kevin Warren, that if Ohio State says, all right, we're going to go down and do this thing here, or we're going to kind of make like a Notre Dame-like schedule here, and we're going to get involved in this because we have a potential Heisman candidate and potential number 2 overall pick for sure as quarterback, and then it ends, and then they want to come back for spring ball with the Big Ten next year, and the Big Ten's going to say no? I just don't think that's accurate. And I would be very interested to see the cash that would be offered to this super conference if Ohio State was to go down there. That would probably, and this is no offense to the Big Ten Network, because I watch the Big Ten Network because it's here in Indiana, and I respect. I assume that the money that would come from ESPN, Fox, NBC, CBS, if they knew they were getting a super conference package, I assume that money would literally take its baby maker out and piss on the Big Ten Network's money that is $52 million. I would assume that because networks are looking for live sports right now, and if they were to be able to get this power college conference, I think there is still some things that are potentially going to happen here in the next couple weeks here, and I don't know if the SEC is going to end up stopping. Greg Sankey came out and said he wants to talk to the Big Ten and Pac-12 people and see why they opted out, but we feel very confident. He said, I think that's going to happen. It's going to go on. People are going to hate it because they're going to say it's not safe. Ohio State fans are going to hate it because they're going to lose in recruiting to these people. I mean, it's going to be a very wild time here, and it feels like on the losing end of the stick here, Ty, is Iowa and Big Ten as a whole.
Well, you mentioned it too. I mean, it's pretty easy to take pot shots at Nebraska for wanting to leave, but I think he probably would have changed his tune a little bit if Ohio State would have been like, actually, I think we're going to head out. Also, not safe, but playing like 19 football games in a calendar year, that's not really safe either. So,
No.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
23 minutes after the hour. That was 5 minutes after we were supposed to go to a break. We are going to a break. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'd also potentially taken over their 30 edibles because I thought more teammates of mine were going to want to indulge in that either before the game or after the game. And to get to London, you go through your own TSA here. The team has TSA that you have to check in. Here's my passport. The Colts already have it. They took it all from everybody. It's literally you get your bags checked and then you're through. Put them in a little thing. We're good to go. It's the team's TSA. Get on the bus, fly over there. I forgot all about them. Didn't utilize them at all because how things quickly changed.
Right.
After we lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, we're on the team bus. They go, hey, we're going through Heathrow Airport through the real-life TSA. And at that moment, I look around. I go, oh, no. I have some things in my bag right now that have vitamins in them. I have to get rid of them. And at that point, I'd whittled it down to like 15 of them. And I look at Vinatieri, and I'm like, buddy, not good. He's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I guess I'm just going to throw them away in here. Couldn't do that because right next to the trash can was an English police officer. So I couldn't just walk up and dump a bunch of edibles into the thing next to the guy. He's going to ask questions. We're going to the Heathrow Airport. Now I got to do what I got to do. We finally get there. Police escorts, a lot going on. So I just take down 13 edibles.
Yikes.
See you later. Vinatieri looks at me and goes, how you doing, bub? I was like, good now, but things are about to happen. He goes, I got you, little buddy. I'm like, thank you. So we go through the little check-in thing. And right before we get to the scan of the bags thing, it all hits me. I might as well have been on Cloud 45 over there in London. They check my bag, boom, boom, boom. I get selected. Something was in my bag. So now all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, did I leave a couple in there? Oh my God. Vinatieri starts walking ahead. He turns around, he's like, what's going on? I'm like, they got my bag, man. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, I have no idea. So he comes and stands with me. He's like, I got you, bub. I was like, they might got me, for real. I might be staying the night in England. They go through my bag. Turns out, had a vibrating toothbrush. Thing was vibrating in my bag.
Yep.
They're like, oh, it must have been this. Or it must have been my big-ass toothpaste because you can't fly with that. I was like, you got it, pal. I get all the way back to the plane. Lost my ticket somewhere. Somehow I don't have a ticket. So now I got to check into the gate people that I don't have a ticket. I'm like, I'm on this plane. I promise I am, but I don't have a ticket. They're like, what's your name? I'm like, Patrick McAfee. McAfee? No, yeah, whatever you want to call me. I just need a ticket. So now I have to sit there and wait as somebody brings me a ticket from the front while my entire team walks by me, knowing that I'm on Cloud 50, just having a good time. Grigson walks by, just upset, obviously. I wish he would have known that I was in a mood where he should have talked to me there. It was just a nightmare. The London trip for me from beginning to end was not good, and I think that happens for a lot of NFL players.
Here's the thing about home security companies. Most trap you with high prices, tricky contracts, and lousy customer support. So while there are a lot of options out there, there's only one no-brainer, and that's SimpliSafe. SimpliSafe's got everything you need to protect your home with none of the drawbacks of traditional home security. It's got an arsenal of sensors and cameras to blanket every room, window, and door tailored specifically for your home. Professional monitoring keeps watch day and night, ready to send police, fire, or medical professionals if there's an emergency. You can set it up yourself in under an hour. Just peel and stick the sensors exactly where you need them. No technician required. And there's no contract, no pushy sales guides, no hidden fees, and no fine print. And all this starts at just $15 a month. Wow! And we're not the only ones who think SimpliSafe is great. U.S. News & World Report named it the best overall home security of 2020. Try SimpliSafe today at simplisafe.com/Pat. You get free shipping and a 60-day risk-free trial. There's nothing to lose. That's simplisafe.com/Pat.
Yes, it is. Shout out to SimpliSafe. Keeping people safe. If you want to talk about keeping people safe, let's talk about a guy who's entering his 10th NFL season, an absolute monster. Coming back after neck surgery this season, center for the Los Angeles Chargers, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Pouncey.
What's going on, Pat? Good to see you, man.
Hey, Mike.
Glad everything's going well.
Hey, you too, man. Welcome back. Neck surgery had to be like a little bit of a scare, yeah? Was it?
Yeah, it was really scary. I had to get a fusion on my C4, C5, and everything went well. I went through Dr. Miel in Pittsburgh. He handled my surgery up there, and those guys did a great job. And honestly, they're the reason I'm coming back this year to play.
Hey, fusion, is that what Peyton got? The fusion? I don't know how.
Yeah, same kind of thing. I don't know if his was in the same area, but same process, I guess.
Was there moments where he couldn't feel? Because Peyton's big thing after he got his the fusion, I guess he couldn't. The rumor, now he obviously didn't tell me this. It's not like he's going out saying this, but the rumor was he couldn't feel his fingertips for a while, and he didn't know if he was going to be able to grip a football. And he had like a $30 million bonus coming, a roster bonus coming on, and Andrew Luck was sitting there. So Ursay was like, well, this guy can't even feel his fingertips. We're going to get the hell rid of him. He goes on to break every NFL record like next season, win a Super Bowl with the Broncos. We end up with Luck. But was there anything like that with the neck surgery, or was the rehab kind of like normal?
So for me, I was having the symptoms before the surgery, and after the surgery, all the symptoms kind of cleared up. And gave me a peace of mind of it. I was having the numbing and tingling in my finger. And after I got the surgery and they got the spinal cord fluid to start flowing back through, all my symptoms went away. So that's what made me feel comfortable about going back out there this year and being able to play.
So now you're going back in one of the weirdest times in history. I mean, this is absolutely – not only you got Hard Knocks – okay, not only is there cameras around, how is that? Because there's some players, we've all seen it, that hate it and come out and said that they hate it, and then there's some players that say it isn't that bad. Is it a very intrusive operation in your eyes?
Honestly, this is my second time being on it, and this experience has been way different than the first time. Honestly, you don't even notice them now. They've kind of distanced themselves from us. There's cameras set up everywhere, but the one-on-one contact that I'm used to being on Hard Knocks with is kind of gone away.
Okay, and then let's talk about the COVID-19. We all kind of got a chance to see, and I thought that the COVID test was they would take a nunchuck and then shove it down your nose. You guys are getting that nasal swab. Is that every day, or is that just whenever you guys got in there, or every other day?
Right now, we can't even enter the facility without taking the test, so it's been an everyday process, and they haven't done the one where you stick it all the way up. It's just kind of just circling through the nose. So
hey,
we've had no tests so far, no positive tests. So
Go Chargers!
Hey, has there been conversation amongst the players? Because we saw in Hard Knocks, the Spanos family there was talking to Chris Harrison. And they're like, hey, you guys are going to have to police yourselves pretty heavily here, mostly because this is our business. And if this thing fails, we lose out on billions and billions of dollars. But also because the NFL season, for this thing to go off, players are going to have to regulate this. Like, players are really going to have to be a part of this. Has this been something as a leader in the locker room that they've tasked you or asked you to talk about? Or is it something you feel obligated to talk about because it's not only the season, but it's also your safety throughout the entire
time? I'm the rep for the team, so I'm obligated to talk about it. But I think a lot of the stuff is just us holding each other accountable. Right now, I think it's pretty easy for us to hold each other accountable because the way our training camp schedule is set up. And, you know more just like I know is once we get out of training camp is when, you got to hold guys even more accountable because you're going to have a lot more time on your hands to go out and do stuff. You're actually going to have family flying in now because you have more time to hang out with them. So there's a lot of stuff that you got to kind of police yourself. And I think our team's going to do a really good job of holding each other accountable when it comes to stuff like that.
I thought about that, and I thought about me as a young player in the league, and I was like, I would have been one of the high-risk guys, I believe. The vets would have been looking around like, yeah, we need to keep our eye on that son of a bitch right there. Let's lock him in a house. Because training camp, you're right, very structured. Hey, you got this, you got this, you got this. Go to bed. Here we go. We're coming back. When the season starts, and we saw it in the MLB. The MLB, I think, even tried to start out pretty good, but then it is hard to keep humans, especially guys who are active, right? If you're a professional athlete, let's assume you're a pretty active human, and then you're also young. You got a lot of. I mean, that is going to be something that is going to be very, very difficult, I think. But for the good of the league, we're going to need it. What were the conversations? You're the rep for the Chargers, 10 years in the league. The conversations with CBA are always disgusting. I mean, those things always get nasty because there's so much money on the line and so many regulations. This whole COVID-19 return to play conversation between the NFLPA and the NFL. And you heard some players come out before, and then whenever they got in the building, they're like, thank you to the NFLPA and the NFL for all the protocols and everything. Was that a pretty easy process, or did it get pretty nasty? Like, what were those conversations like?
I think it got pretty nasty throughout the process, just because we kind of waited until the very last minute to get a deal done. But outside of that, it's just I just feel like once we start traveling and everything that we have going on, guys just got to be extra careful about things. And I tell guys, the conversation for me is that if you want your full salary this year, we have to make it through the NFL season. If we don't make it through the whole season, then guys, the only money you're going to get is the guaranteed money you have. So I think if guys really want to get all their money for the whole season, then we got to follow these protocols. We got to be extra cautious about a lot of stuff that we do just to get through this football season.
Need a couple more of those chains right there. You know what I mean?
These are fake, Pat.
So is this. The thought of Tyrod Taylor being the veteran quarterback in there for Air Bear. Is there any better setup for Justin, you think, to succeed? I mean, watching Hard Knocks, Pep Hamilton was a guy at the Colts. I love Pep. I like the way Pep operates. I think him and Justin Herbert obviously are the future for the Chargers, I think. But Tyrod Taylor is a guy who has very much proven to be a cool veteran, a successful veteran, and a talented guy. How has that whole experience been, especially with you, the guy that has to give them the ball?
He gets a lot of respect in our locker room. Guys really like him as a football player. They like him as a person. He's a guy that's first in the building, last out. And he's just a guy that we can all depend on. I think he's proven in this league that he can win, and we really believe in him. We think he's going to take us to where we want to go this year. And obviously, seeing Justin out there is just, I mean, his build is amazing. He's 6'6", he's ripped up, can throw the ball every pass. He can make every pass, and I just think his future is so bright for this organization that they did a really good job picking that guy.
You like Tom Telesco? He's the reason I'm in the NFL.
I love Tom. Tom's the reason I'm here.
Me too. Hey, he's the only reason why the studio was built. He was the guy that he saw me at Meineke Car Care Bowl workout, and he was like, I don't know if that guy knows how to punt, but it seems like he has a strong enough leg to figure it out. Told Bill Polian the only reason why I got drafted is because Tom Telesco. And then getting a chance to kind of watch him shape this Chargers team. And obviously, Phillip Rivers is gone now. Is it a whole new culture in there? Is the thought that, like, because it's not a rebuild, right? Because same GM, same coach, but it is new quarterback, new set. How does it feel inside that locker room? Is it like, hey, we're a new team?
Yeah, I mean, we feel like we're the same team. We got a lot of the same players here. Obviously, it's a different feel not having 17 in the building, but because he was such just a great person, man, great football player. He was a kind of a player but a coach at the same time because he ran all of our offensive meetings. He was a guy that took football very, very seriously, and not having him here is just it sucks, but we wish him the best. We hope he has a heck of a year out there in Indiana. But we're rolling with Tyrod. We think what he's going to do for our offense, how we can extend plays and be able to use his legs and get first downs and stuff like that. I think is really going to help our football team with the team that we have.
Where are you at right now? Are you in a training room or are you like in a lobby?
I'm sitting in one of our 8 locker rooms. They got everyone spread out now, so we don't even have a real weight room anymore. Our weight room's half the football field. So
how the locker rooms? How is it? Like vets are in one, and then it's kind of like a tiered society.
So it works off seniority. So the older player you are, you'll be in the main locker room. We have most of the rookies and the newer players inside of our old weight room, which we turned into like the younger locker room. And then our player lounge, where I'm sitting at now, is just another locker room for some of our skilled players.
How come Keenan Allen never gets respect from anybody?
I don't understand it. The guy's a phenomenal football player, runs routes better than anybody in the NFL, and I don't understand it. A lot of it's media-based push stuff for guys, but for Keenan, he's a guy that's done it year in and year out, and I just don't understand why he never gets the respect that he deserves. Are
you guys pumped to get into a stadium where you guys are probably going to have feel like you're in the NFL again?
Yeah, it is going to be nice to play in a real NFL stadium, but hopefully they're going to allow some fans in there. Or who knows? I mean, I spent a lot of money on that stadium to not have any fans in there. So we'll see how that goes.
A lot of, I think it was like supposed to be something, and then it got doubled, and then it got something else,
7 or 8,
and then it got something else. But that thing is gorgeous. What's today's schedule? What do you guys have? Have you already had a walkthrough? Have you already had meetings?
Right now, we just have our early morning workout group, which we call the Breakfast Club group. We come at 6 a.m. and work out, and then we'll have meetings that start at 8 a.m., walk through at 9:30, and then we'll have Zoom meetings for the rest of the day. And then our schedule kind of switches tomorrow where we have our longer days. We start to get into a real training camp mode. We'll be getting done around 8:30.
How much are they changing? Like, are you guys allowed to do as much? Because you guys are still doing Zoom meetings, which is insane because you guys are around each other, and then it's like, no, go away from each other. It's like, are the days, once you guys get back into a real training camp, is it going to be similar? Walk through in the morning, workout, kind of off-time practice? Is it going to be similar, or is the COVID thing kind of messing with all of that?
The structure of the practice part is pretty much similar. It's just as far as we do meetings, we kind of get everyone away from each other. Hey, go to your house, go to your hotel room, or wherever you're staying for training camp, and we have slotted times for Zoom meetings. So I think it's worked efficient. We've done it the whole off season, and we kind of learned a whole new playbook. And guys got, we showed up to camp, and guys knew what they were doing. So I think it worked for us, and we've kind of took it from the off season, and now we're using it in training camp, and it's keeping guys away from each other, but we're still learning the plays really well.
You ever have Anthony Lynn's ribs or wings?
No, not yet.
Hey, I heard they are.
He looks like he's been eating a lot of them.
He's a cool dude. I think what I enjoyed most about Hard Knocks was first of all, Jalen Ramsey just dissecting the media after they didn't like an answer that he gave.
Oh my God,
I loved it.
They kept going at him too. I was like, wow. He handled it the right way though. Usually he's a guy that's going to flip out, but he handled it the right way.
Well, and I think that was big for him. Like I think Jalen, and he even said, he was like, "Hey, I'm trying to be a veteran here. Like I'm trying to kind of separate from what I used to be. I'm like, I'm an older guy in this league now. They'll handle it." And you guys are just like, "Oh, is that how you really feel?" It's like, that's my answer. Just if it doesn't fit your story, that's on you. So that was a big thing for me. Then getting to watch McVay kind of operate, because I've always seen him there, and then learning about Anthony Lynn, I think was potentially one of my highlights of that thing. I really enjoy him as a human. I knew nothing about him. You enjoy his coaching style? You've been around obviously a long time.
We love it. He's a guy that's played in this league. He played for a long time. He understands how hard it is week in and week out to go out there and perform at a high level. And then he understands that, we got to be in the building. It has to be ran the right way. I would hate to say that he's a player's coach, because players' coaches let you get away with a lot, and he's more of a disciplinary coach. You're going to do the stuff the right way, and if you do it the right way, then you'll get his respect, and he'll treat you the way you're supposed to be treated. And so I think the way he runs this organization is he does it the right way.
You guys going to win a Super Bowl?
That Hard Knock segment, I thought him and that rookie tight end were going to go at it.
Oh man! Hey,
that got intense, didn't it?
Hey, he gave him like when he gave him an elbow.
Oh yeah.
And I liked Anthony going into Telesco's office, and obviously he was wearing a For the Brand shirt, which I was very thankful for. Let's put on, for the brand. I respect
Love that.
Yeah, me too. Hey, me too. I was a big fan of that. But him and Anthony Lynn and Tom talking about it, and they're like, love the fiery of that. I love the fiery guy. And then former player, you could hear the former player, and I'm going, I mean, he was thinking he was like Antonio Gates, but love it. You hear like, hey, I mean, but I love the guy. Yeah, it is. Yeah. How is the spirit of the team? Is it all kind of like, hey, we're going to have to get through this? Because training camp sucks for training camp sucks. It's just the way it goes. It's part of the thing. You have to do it. But for me, much less than you guys, obviously, because you have to, run your faces into people and a lot more stuff. But how is the spirit, you think, going into this? Everybody kind of understands it's just going to be different, and we just kind of got to do what we got to do?
Yeah, I think the spirits are real high. Guys want to play football. Guys don't want to miss out on the year of their career. They don't want to miss out on the year of their salary. We understand how serious that the virus is, but we feel like us being here is a lot safer than us being out in the real world. We have a lot of structure here where we're getting tested every single day. We're making sure guys are doing the right thing, where everyone's following the right protocols. And so I just feel like us being back to work is a lot safer than us being out in the real world and not having all the accommodations that we have being at work.
We're talking to Mike Pouncey, center for the Los Angeles Chargers, coming back after neck surgery. You played football at the Florida?
Yeah, University of Florida, yep.
Hey, is there any chance that the SEC doesn't play football this year?
Zero chance. They're playing football.
Yes. I think
Even if we
Hell
got to
yeah.
schedule some games against the Florida Gators, they're playing.
I honestly believe that. Have you been keeping up with the college football stuff? You're in the middle of training camp, so it's probably a little bit different.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all you can do right now is watch news. You can't do anything else. They got everything else shut down.
How do you feel about it? Because you were part of the NFLPA and the NFL, you probably had to learn more about the protocols and decide it was going in there. How do you feel about the entire setup of college and how it is going to happen? Because it feels like the people that don't necessarily have to love football are making the decisions, right? So it's like presidents, academia, doctors. But from the football standpoint, do you think it's possible with what you know from those meetings in the NFLPA and the NFL for the college football people to kind of make it happen?
Yes, I think they have enough money to fund the testing, to fund everything that they need to make every guy feel safe. And I think they're going to have the same kind of thing that we have. They'll have opt-out clauses for players that maybe can't go out there because they're a higher risk, that'll maybe get an extra year eligibility. However, they got to work it out. But I just feel like with all the money that college football makes, that it's a safer environment for our student athletes to be at college and doing the things they love to do than being at home.
I thought, and I went back to Nick Saban's quote, and I'm sure you don't love Nick Saban, but I went back to his quote. I think last year he said a guy got in trouble. He was like 18 years old. And they were asking Nick why he didn't kick him off the program or whatever. And Nick said, like, what do you want me to do? Like, you want me to send this guy back to his neighborhood, back to the streets where he's from?
Exactly.
Or do you want to potentially us to try to make him a better human, which is what we're supposed to do? And Trevor Lawrence alluded to that as well. And I think that is something that these academia who are making these decisions don't think about, the actual humans that are playing the college football, where they come from, getting sent back, getting out of – now, granted, not everybody will get sent back, but there's a lot of college football places that will be going to schools where it's online classes, so they will get sent home. It feels like, just like with what you said about the Chargers, much safer to be there than anywhere else. I just hope they get it figured out, and I can't thank you enough for joining us, Mike. You're the man.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it, man. I'm glad you're doing well. Your show is awesome, bro.
Hey, some days suck, but there's some good ones. We got some good ones, Mike. We got some good ones. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us with a great conversation. Hey, very knowledgeable stuff there out of you. Hey, I did not expect the COVID-19 dive. I didn't know you were the player rep, but you had to be knuckle deep in that thing for at least a few weeks there. I appreciate you.
We wanted to make sure every player was taken care of, not just, the main guy. So it was a long process that they got done, and it all worked out, right? Hey. We're back at work.
Hey, do you have to go through the car wash thing?
And now I don't think you can't even have a private car wash guy. You probably just run it through, pay a couple $, and get it done.
Respect.
Or you saying the car wash show or
the human? I'm talking about the human. When you walk in, are they disinfecting you?
No, we didn't. I think that's just in Denver. We haven't got to that yet. But I've seen that in Denver. Well, that was a little weird.
Hopefully you guys won't need it. Ladies and gentlemen, 10-year center for the Los Angeles Chargers and stud Mike Pouncey. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good day, guys.
Have a good one. We got to get to a break. Good convo.
Yeah,
awesome.
Good stuff.
I didn't get to do my center thing because we got to get to our radio break. I wanted him to judge my pretty good, by the way.
That good snap.
46 minutes after the hour, we end hour one on the other side. It's the Pat McAfee Show. Well, hello, sensual piano keys. You sound incredibly inspirational and motivational. Big announcement coming from our company. Throughout my entire life, I've made decisions that people have said, ooh, that is stupid. You've read about them. You heard about them. When I was in high school, I went to an underground poker game, won $1,400, flew myself down to Miami, won a kicking contest, and got a scholarship to West Virginia the next day. I turned my back on soccer that day. Everybody said, you're an idiot. Why are you doing that? You have more schools looking at you for soccer than you do for football. What are you thinking? Fast forward 8 years with the Indianapolis Colts, and I was on top of the world, top of the mountain. How's the view? Not too shabby. And when I was at the top of my game, I decided, you know what? I'm going to pursue some other stuff. My friends and I are going to go to work on the internet. We're going to try to chase fulfillment as opposed to just a paycheck. And there were some interesting responses from people of power in the sporting world.
Make them tear the uniform off of you.
Sure.
Look, somebody needs to stage an intervention. People who know this guy, get to him now. Make him put his helmet back on and get to camp.
Oh no, there's no intervention, Wilbon. No, no, no. Here we are 3 years after that date, and it's a celebration, bitches! Cut the music! Let's hand out some bags to the boys.
For the boys. For the boys. By the way, that's for you, brother. Oh my God.
Are you home?
All right, come out the front door.
What's up, dude?
What is this?
What's this?
Oh, you son of a bitch.
What the fuck? Fuck you.
Oh, yeah. That is the bag of money. Oh, FanDuel deal went through. There's $50,000 in there for you. Here's a backpack with $50,000 in it. Oh, $50,000 in it.
Oh my God.
Yes, there's $50,000 in there. Yes, there's $50,000.
Are you fucking serious?
Let's go.
Did you rob a bank?
Oh man.
Let's
go, dude.
Let's go. I appreciate you, buddy.
Yo, this is.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, dude. We did it. Couldn't have done it without you. Oh, thank you.
Dude, it's a fuck ton of money. You guys.
When I asked Dan Patrick for some advice, he told me always take care of the boys.
Well, and you should know those people that are there with you, that their value cannot be overstated and should not be overstated.
So, Mike Wilbon, they didn't hold my jersey on me. They didn't hold my helmet on me. We didn't have an intervention. What we have is a celebration. Because when you bet on yourself, sometimes you hit for big. And for us, the only place we'll bet for the next couple years in an exclusive deal, FanDuel backed the Brinks truck up to our office, and we have never been more thankful, more excited, and more together as we promote the greatest sports book on planet Earth.
Done. Don, you there?
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. We are live. We did not know that. Just got done talking to Mike Pouncey, center for the Los Angeles Chargers. Great conversation. I enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Had no idea what to expect. I think we talked once or twice before at a couple events or parties or something like that. I like that he's wearing fake chains, by the way. A big fan of that move. I don't know anybody that should wear a real one, to be honest with you. I mean, I guess you should, if you really want to, but
Keep it at home and safe.
boy, those mock ones just look just as good. I mean, it is not even.
Oh, yeah.
You can break them.
Now, granted, this is a movement watch, but everybody thinks it's like a Rolex.
Looks like a Rolex.
because it's so big. But movement just sent this thing over, and I am not a watch guy. And now I'm wearing this thing every day, feeling as if I'm a baller. And
Here
people
we
are like,
are.
"Oh, look, it's got a gold watch." It's like, I'm not 100% sure there's gold here because the price it costs.
You're looking good. Looking good. No green marks on the wrist. You're fine.
See, that's what the real fake stuff.
Exactly.
That's the old Jokely Folkley things you got there. All right, hour one's wrapping up for radio. We'll be back on the other side. Kyle Brandt joins us in the second hour. More great convo too, I bet. Just great. YouTube, what's going on, man? Great to fucking see you guys. That trip to Orlando was wild.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be honest. That trip to Orlando was wild.
Mickey Mouse pool.
And we'll be back next week, by the way, down there. We're going back down to Orlando next week. It's fight week, dude.
Fight week.
It's fight week, dude. It's fight week. I assume we'll have some guests that'll come through. Now, granted, have to do it in a safe fashion, but
Right.
that Airbnb down there, Ty, wait till you see this thing. It might be
looks beautiful.
75,000 square feet in the fucking neighborhood it's in. There is a resort house next, a house that is just a resort next to it. It makes no sense.
Two
Well,
golf
that's what-
courses, right?
Yeah, Phil sent
Yeah.
the list of amenities. I was like, is this a fucking joke? Like, this is like literally like a resort. Private.
And I feel like that list was a short sell of the
Yes.
actual
Yeah.
entire.
Really?
Just the entire area. That was a short sell. That list.
There's an avatar room.
There's an avatar room in the
Avatar
house.
room.
So I guess that's an entire business down there. Is you just build up these
Yeah.
massive houses so you can get like 4 families to travel in from wherever in the globe.
Vacation house.
And they go to Disney every day, and then they come home and there's pools, and the family and the kids can play in the different houses. I mean, granted, it was a little weird. Somebody slept in like a Cinderella room, I believe, and a princess room, and then there was an avatar room. I mean,
Spoon in the pool.
there was a
spoon in the pool.
heroin-looking spoon in the pool, a long one, which
Nobody touched it.
nobody touched it. That thing is, by the way, still in there now. Will probably be in there next week as well. But man, life is-
Basketball court too.
oh yeah, there's basketball court in the house.
Very
Can't
nice.
shoot. 'cause
I was going to say, was that 10 feet? It looked like it was about 5 feet off the ground.
I have a little respect. It's about 9.5 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the ceiling is at 11 feet. You see, so
Dunking only, really.
there is a
A lot of lasers.
yeah, a lot of lasers. Helped out Foxy, by the way. Foxy's shot looked very, very
Really?
nice from there. Yeah, it did. And the rim was very forgiving.
Oh, yeah.
That's
He's
huge.
also leaning down a little bit.
Well, it's like that's how like the 7-footers feel. You know, it's like right there for all.
Yeah.
Oh, what did we watch the other day? We watched Lakers Sixers.
yeah.
Lakers Sixers finals from back in the day. And Shaq, he was on the foul line, and he was standing at the foul line, right? And I forgot what Shaq had to go through shooting a fucking free throw, and everybody makes fun of him for his hands on that. I mean, it is literally like a golf ball, and he goes up there, and you could tell that he had worked on it, and people told him what he should do. Okay, guide hand, follow through hand, like. Everything up until about right here, it's like, okay, we got a shot. And then think about the conversations that Shaq is having with Shaq. Every single fucking free throw.
That beautiful inner monologue.
Oh, my. All right, Shaq. Come on.
It's off.
Come
All
on,
right, buddy.
Shaq. Come on. And then it falls in. He's like, fucking right. All right. And then the next one is a whole new battle. I don't think that gets talked about enough.
All right, Shaq, you just did this 10 seconds ago.
We can do this again. And then the next one looks nothing like it. That is an impossible feat for that guy shooting a free throw. And I don't think I didn't remember how dominant he was.
Oh, yeah. He led the league in scoring the 2 years Jordan was in the league in the 90s.
There's no stopping.
No one could guard him. in the post.
Nobody.
You literally can't. And then there's obviously the highlights of him shaking Jordan, too. It was like he was a special, special athlete and a special, special personality. And I don't know if there will ever be another. I don't think there will ever be another Shaq. And it was awesome kind of getting to watch that. AI was playing in there.
That was a step over game.
Oh, my God. It was fucking great.
How about his reality show? It's awesome, isn't it?
I'll tell you what.
Love the Shaq show.
Love that show.
Good show. TNT,
Love
they do good
it.
work.
Hey, man.
NBA on TNT, left
Pat,
going on.
I'm just starting to
Tune into
worry
Shaq
that
show.
Shaq has 0 moments of his life that aren't on camera at this point. I mean, what do they do for that basketball night thing? They're there for what, 5 hours just watching games, and then they bounce into him and bounce out to him. And then he was also on the Tuesday night show, wasn't he? So he was also on Tuesday night with
Oh,
them.
yeah,
And
DJ.
then he had this reality thing, and then he did Shark Week with Shaq. And then, by the way,
Great week.
the more Shaq, the better. I mean, It's a fucking terrible week.
Yeah, Shark Week
No,
stinks.
Shaq.
Shark Week
Shaq,
fucking stinks.
Shaq Week is good. I'm saying.
No, Shark Week. Shaq.
Shaq Week. Not Shaq Week. Shaq
And
Week.
the thing about Shark Week was so interesting is Shark Week there for a while was every 30 minutes a new group of white people were jumping in water trying to get bit and never did. And it was like a 5-year sell that somebody was potentially going to die. And then we all kind of got caught up on the game and we're like, all right, Shark Week stinks. Shaq getting in there. I bet you the great whites and sharks look at Shaq like, what the fuck is that thing? And just go the opposite direction. I am a big Shaq guy. And watching him get to play back in his prime there the other day was beautiful. I completely forgot about how incredibly electric and dominant he was. But the only thing I could think about, just because punting is a very inside the ears thing, those free throws, the inner dialogue that had to happen, just the war happening in his head, the fact that he was even able to make one at that particular point was absolutely beautiful. All right, we got about 30 seconds till we get back. What should we lead off with?
Kittle's extension just got.
What is it?
You want to save it?
Yeah. We'll do breaking news here in about 30 seconds.
It's a real news show.
10 seconds. We'll do. That's a tease, motherfuckers.
Here we go, George.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. We got this beautiful Thursday, August 13th, 2020, and we have breaking news. Breaking news. George Kittle has just signed a 5-year, $75 million extension, says Ian Rappaport. George Kittle, who by all accounts became the number 1 tight end in football as soon as Rob Gronkowski went on to do the Masked Singer. George Kittle is a man who can block. He's a man who can change games. He's a man who seems to be the leader in spirit and everything in that locker room, and a guy who is absolutely hysterical. Iowa guy. Everybody thought he was going to get broken off. Nobody knew how much it was going to be for. Here we are, 5 years, $75 million. Congratulations to George Kittle. Congratulations to the 49ers who just extended Lynch and Shanahan. Now they lock down George Kittle for the foreseeable future. There's a team with Shanahan's big-ass brain that is predicated on the run game. You got a tight end who's an extension of a left tackle if you need him. Now they can drop the schemes. He can change games for you. This is a smart move. California taxes will take about 79% of that. But congratulations to George Kittle. Iowa guy, got to feel good about that.
Yeah, I do. And you mentioned it. You can tell that he genuinely really loves football. He plays the game the right way. He's just fun to watch. I mean, no more guy is more deserving of this type of contract than Kittle. I love it.
He is a guy who loves football. And when he's mic'd up, you learn a lot about people when they're mic'd up, how they are in the game, what's their mentality. Russell Wilson, for instance, just Mr. Unlimited on the field. Hey, boys, here we go. Clear eyes, full hearts. We're going to work hard. Here we go, guys. Okay, this is fun, isn't it? Football, fourth quarter. We got to make a drive. Do your job. Here we go. All right, this is the play. Do your job. Okay, I've never heard anybody like Russell Wilson on a field before. Any of the sports I've ever played, I've never had a teammate like Russell Wilson when he's mic'd up. Aaron Donald, whenever he was mic'd up, because he doesn't talk much, by the way, Aaron Donald does not talk. He's going to go down as probably a top 5 football player in the history of the game whenever it's all said and done. He's changed the position completely for whatever it is. People are going to be looking for next Aaron Donalds. When he was mic'd up, you got a chance to hear him literally self-motivate himself, right? He was doing a lot of talking to himself, like, come on, which, by the way, a lot of people do. George Kittle, when he's mic'd up, showtime. Mm-hmm. It is showtime off the field. It is showtime on the field. He's hilarious. He's relatable. And now he is wealthy as a mother. And I'm happy for him. I'm very happy for George Kittle with $75 million over the next 5 years. Now, granted, we're going to have to find out what the guarantees are, how this thing is structured. Nick Baraldo has more with that.
$30 million guarantees. So a lot of people are saying it's a 2-year deal for $30 million.
Okay, so he's averaging $15 million, I guess. Is that 5 times?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
5 times.
Good math.
5 times 15, yeah, because you see what you do here with the math is 5 times 10 would be 50.
Oh.
And then there's 5 left. You can go 5 times 5, and you'd be like, oh, that's another 25. Mm-hmm. And then we got 575. Look at this big math show. Good for George Kittle getting broken off. What is that in comparison It's the biggest in tight end history, right?
It's gotta be because Hooper just had it right and
40 some million.
Yeah,
or something
Is
like
that
that.
like 13 a year? I think.
Yeah, 14 something.
Yeah.
And now, granted, Travis Kelce is going to be up here Travis Kelce is watching this one with bated breath. He's already won a Super Bowl. He's part of the most effective offense in the history of the NFL, basically. Travis Kelce, George Kittle, obviously top of the class whenever it comes to tight ends. Now, Gronk's back in the game, and Madden gives him a 95. But Kelce's up here in like a year or two. He's looking at this like, hey, maybe we get an extendo. Nobody knows where this Chiefs money's coming from anyways. Go ahead and just throw some at Travis Kelce. Good for George Kittle. I'm happy for the guy.
Can they re-sign him? Like, do you think the Chiefs can somehow figure out a way to bring him back?
He's going to get broken off somewhere else.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce is going to get broken off somewhere. And I assume that Kelce knows that as well. As soon as he sees the Patrick Mahomes deal happen and then all the other cap things that they happen, I would assume Travis Kelce's like, okay, we'll probably win a couple more Super Bowls here, and then I'm probably going to go somewhere else. But Travis Kelce is a massive piece of that Kansas City Chiefs offense. And you have to be able to respect that. And I think Andy Reid, they have big brain features. They have big brains over there. But Travis Kelce's watching that going, okay, good news. Let's go ahead and keep it moving, boys. Patty, you got a $500 million, maybe a couple seam shots this year, a little bit more than we did last year. Let's see what we can get.
Is it surprising that he only got $30 million guaranteed?
I don't know.
2 years worth? Isn't that kind of surprising?
I don't know. We have to see how it's all structured.
Incentives and stuff like that.
Yeah, like there's roster bonuses probably in there too that aren't even being accounted for, because you got to remember the smoke and mirrors of contracts in professional sports have been happening for so long. It was laughable to get into the league and learn about how it all happens after watching like ESPN report these contracts. Boston Connor has just signed a 5-year, $770 million deal. Good for Boston Connor. Good for Boston Connor. $762 million of that probably not attainable. He will have to cure certain forms of cancer to get, and he will also have to create the vaccine before Bill Gates does for COVID-19. But $770 million. Yeah, that's the big thing. You know, that used to be the big thing, because these agents, they'd be able to sign more clients. The bigger the number the bigger the pop gets. So these agents would negotiate these deals that had these massive pop, headline grabbing. And then once you got into the details, you know, because the devil is right there in the details. And once you get in there, you're like, oh, that's a terrible. That guy's going to get cut next year and probably make none of that money. But $150 million, like that is kind of how it's always been. So you have to see how this goes. But I would assume if George Kittle signed this deal, especially if you see his relationship with Shanahan and Lynch and what he means, I assume this is set up in a fashion where $30 million might be guaranteed, but there's probably a roster bonus that's rather large. There's probably some incentive-based stuff that he's definitely going to be able to get unless he gets hurt, and there's probably some other stuff with something.
Well, also, he's only 26, right? So in 2 years, you're 28. He's still in the prime, and he can re-up for even more money.
And by the way, 2 years from now, he's probably only going to be smarter, right? Because that's one of those things where a lot of people talk about tight ends and wide receivers, and I got a chance to watch Dallas Clark and Reggie Wayne. Okay, two guys that I wouldn't say this to Dallas Clark's face or Reggie Wayne's face, but other people have said this. They probably slowed down a little bit as they got older, but their brains were just so much bigger. And Drew Brees said this, I think last year. He said the art of getting older in the NFL is just trying to keep your body to hang on so you can abuse people with basically your new IQ that you have because you've been around longer. Reggie would do things, because I had some friends that were corners on our team, and they would have to go against him. And they would like come in after practice just like, man, how did Reggie do that? And I'm like, what does he do? And they're like, there's just little things where like he'll run a route, and he probably didn't do this whenever he was younger, but he wouldn't lift his hands until like the last second. So the DB had no idea the ball was coming, but Reggie had so much, and he would even like cut, and he wouldn't even be looking at the ball. And then like the last second, his hands would go out. And it's like, okay, here we go. That's the type of stuff that like younger pass catchers, and he'll probably learn even more about leverage. George will be there. Like the bigger your brain gets in those types of positions with those types of humans, the better you get. And Dallas Clark was a guy who, another Iowa guy, started as a linebacker, I think, in Iowa.
Yeah.
Played 1 year at tight end at Iowa. Then he goes on to become a part of the winningest decade in NFL history with the Colts, and a massive piece of it, and never wore gloves. It made no sense. But like watching him operate whenever he got older, because that's the only time I saw him, it was just like everything about it. So yeah, let's assume George Kittle, this isn't his last deal, but it has to be nice to know that you're getting probably like, $7 million over the next 5 years with those California taxes.
And Garoppolo's going to get better. Like you mentioned guys figuring out.
There we go. And Shanahan's offense is going to get more. are. I mean, this is good for George Kittle. I'm very, very happy for George Kittle at this point.
Oh, yeah.
You know who hasn't signed a big deal yet?
Oh, jeez.
Dak Prescott. We are not going to be that show. Okay, we talked about it once.
Win a playoff.
We did our obligatory Cowboy talk at the beginning of the show. So if you're watching right now and you're a Cowboys fan, go back to the beginning. We put it out there. Can't do it again. If we were a show that was on a network right now, I would probably be getting yelled at in my ear.
By me.
Go to Cowboys.
LeBron Jordan.
All right, Pat. We're talking Cowboys now. Let's get ready to bring up Pat. All right. And Pat, you're throwing to this graphic here. Here comes the.
Remember what Jerry did? Remember what Jerry did? Talk about Jerry. Here, this is what you're going to do. That's going to be probably, I would assume.
All right, Pat, 30 seconds. We're moving on.
Yeah, well, and then, by the way, guess what? We're back. More Cowboys. The NCAA football thing is only going to get messier before it gets cleaner here. And it's going to get messy political-wise. It's going to get messy emotional-wise. It's going to get messy arrogance-wise. I think there is going to be some stuff that's going to get a little bit ugly here in college football. And after talking to Mike Pouncey, who is a Florida Gator, okay, down there in the swamp in Gainesville. Hey, do a chop for the guy. Was he with Tebow?
Oh, yeah.
Next time he comes on, first question is Tebow, by the way. That's another network thing you would be right.
Yeah, so Pat, we're going to talk about Tim
Tebow.
Tebow.
And what's that?
And
Mr. Riley
Hernandez.
Oh, yeah, that team was littered with some personality. And now that we got
Very
Urban
good
Meyer.
talent, though.
Hey, and now we got, not personality, sorry. I don't want people to
Pat,
think
we
that.
can't talk about that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would come off as. But now that I know Urban Meyer does boat parties, I mean, that thing from top to bottom, that Gator
What else
team,
are they doing?
We should just talk about that. Well, I don't know. It still has yet to address it, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the internet would just forget.
Did AJ ever get a text back?
I have not followed up with AJ about his text to Old Herb, but I'm sure the internet will forget about that video completely. I'm sure anything he does on TV forever and says that will be completely forgotten about. I'm sure it won't be a big deal. Anyways, let's get to the NCAA football. That team was very good at football.
Oh, yeah. Cam Newton was on that team when he was a freshman.
Yeah.
Before he got kicked. Yeah.
Cam Newton, Tim Tebow.
Riley Cooper,
Aaron Hernandez,
both Pouncey brothers,
Urban Meyer, the Pounceys, and they won.
Percy
games.
Harvin.
Percy Harvin.
Oh, wow.
Dan Bilzerian was at Florida at that time as well.
Played linebacker.
Yeah, he played starting middle linebacker.
I guess there's some potential embezzling things going on with that guy, but what a life! What's he had, like 7 heart attacks? He said, or something
like that.
Good for him, man.
Good book.
Just living it. Did you read it?
No.
Somebody told you though.
Yeah.
Smart.
Good cover.
We are a big don't read the book people, but we hear what other people say about said book. Oh yeah, great book. Great book. Oh, tell me your favorite part. Well, it was that one thing that the one person said about it that I really was like, oh, good book.
That part in the middle.
It looked like they were smiling. I think the beginning and the end, both very motivational. In the middle, there's a couple you can lose, but boy, go ahead and read the hell out of it. That, by the way, that's my entire academic career right there.
Yeah. Read the back.
No, not even. I listen to what other people say. And I'm like, okay, I'm a rather good listener. I listen to what they say, answer the first question. Okay, now
You're set.
Seems like I'm engaged. I'm out. This is over with. Hey, what was the big thing that happened in that chapter we were supposed to read last night? Blah, 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 blah. Thank you. That was awesome. Okay, teacher goes, what are your takeaways from chapter blah, blah, blah? I'm stealing that person's answer for sure. Well, let me tell you. When that son of a bitch did it scared me. And then I would go in there and check and find one quote. And the thing that really was heavy was blah, 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 blah. And that potentially is the reason why every teacher in Plum, my school district, wanted me out of Plum school as soon as I got in there. But I like to tell them, charge to the game, baby. That's
right.
Charge it
That's
to
the theme.
the game. The NCAA is in an interesting position. The Big Ten will attempt to play football in the spring. And Kevin Warren, who just became the commissioner of the Big Ten, is currently taking a lot of heat from some schools in the Big Ten. Not all schools. I would assume a lot of the schools in the Big Ten are understanding and everything like that because they are not just powerhouse football schools. Big Ten, very good conference, okay? Always has been. Always will be. It is one of those conferences you talk about, you hear about. They have their own network. I mean, it is a big deal. But there's only a couple schools in there football-wise that really move the needle for anybody. We all know who they are. We don't have to talk about it. We can just move forward. But Kevin Warren, the commissioner, who just got the job in January after a guy had the gig for 30 years, enters into a worldwide pandemic 3 months into the gig of being the commissioner, and now he's the guy who has to say that we're suspending the season until next fall. He is obviously going to be hated by people no matter what happens with him. He's in a terrible position. But they move their season to the spring officially. Pac-12 and Big Ten have been together since 1946. Lou Holtz told me that in a rant. Did you hear that the other day?
Oh, yeah, I heard it.
What did he say?
Listen, they didn't know. They knew there was risk when they stormed the beaches on Normandy, okay? We need to play college football this year. There's no other alternative.
That wasn't what I was referring to. Okay, that was not what I was referring to. I was referring to whenever he talked about the 1946 arrangement between the Big Ten and the Pac-12 about the Rose Bowl. You must have missed that part.
No, I did hear that part, but the Normandy one was the big takeaway.
Oh, that was the headline. But so the Pac-12 they canceled the season considering January 2021 return, right? So, I mean, there is a lot going on. The Big 12, the SEC, and the ACC have all alluded to the fact and outright said that they are going to basically ford the river. Or if we're Oregon Trail here, there's the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the Power 5 Conference, the Ivy League, the MAC, all these other conferences. They went ahead and parked the wagon and decided to let the river subside a little bit so they can pass it in Oregon Trail. The Big 12, the SEC, and the ACC, they took their ox and said, we are going for this thing. Now, in that game, you all know it's a roll of the dice, and when you get in the middle, you have no idea what's going to happen. Are you going to lose everything? Or are you going to be able to power through, and people are going to say, look what we were able to accomplish, and at least we were able to fire every single bullet in the gun we went for it. That is potentially what's going to happen with the Big 12, SEC, and ACC. There's a chance that this ends up terribly. There is a chance that this ends up very bad for them. But I believe there is a chance, if you look what the NFL is able to do, and if you look at the way they've been able to kind of, I mean, now we're talking about 18 to 23-year-old kids, so it's a very different world on college campuses. I mean, it's going to be tough. But if there's a way to get these guys to, kind of buy into the fact that, hey, this is just going to be different. It sucks for you guys. You're not going to be able to go do things that most college football players are able to do throughout their entire careers. A lot of part of college is enjoying and mingling and learning how to network and socialize and still get jobs done. And granted, the education that you're getting here is overpriced. You're never going to be able to make back the amount of money that you're going into debt by the profession you're getting. But at college, you're learning things that you can't learn in the classroom. You're learning how to handle yourself as an adult. But for this season, you college football players, you're not going to be able to do that. You have to lock it down. Because if you don't, our entire thing is potentially over. And that goes for starting quarterback on the roster and also redshirt freshman that is number 115 on the roster. And that is going to be tough for them to be able to handle. But the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 have come out and said basically, we feel very, very confident about the ability of our protocols and our medicine and our medical doctors. Now, granted, we are going to call the Big 10 and Pac-12 and see why they decide to opt out, but we feel very good about it. And now comes the question. Will Ohio State leave the Big Ten to go play in the Super Conference? Gene Smith said no, who's the athletic director of Ohio State. Kevin Warren, the commissioner of the Big Ten, said can't do it because they won't get the Big Ten network money. You won't be welcome back if you do that. Scott Frost, Nebraska, is saying it. Jim Harbaugh is still practicing with the team. Yep. There's a lot of things that are going on where there is a chance that some people maybe bounce, but even if it doesn't, I think the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 feel like they're going to get a season started at least. Will they be able to finish? Who knows? But you got to think down there in the South where it's different down here. Mm-hmm. It is different down there whenever it comes to Big 10, Pac-12 stuff. And this is going to have rippling effects for the long haul. Yes. Mm-hmm. Whenever you're talking about recruiting, how powerful conferences really are in the football world. I mean, there's going to be a lot that's going to potentially take place here. And I think there's a chance that in the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12, where they say it's different here, I think there's potentially people that love football that are making decisions as opposed to in some other places where it's like, yeah, we enjoy football. We like what football does for a university, but we care about a lot of other stuff a lot more than that whenever it comes to this, and this. And I'm pumped to see how it all plays out, especially because we're a sports talk show. And if they were to cancel college football and then the NFL goes into hell in a handbasket, there would be literally nothing for us to do. But here we are. Shout out the SEC. Hope everybody stays safe and nobody dies.
Appreciate it, SEC. And how detrimental is this for guys like, imagine Burrow. Like Burrow, his senior year figured it out, and if that were to happen, he probably wouldn't have got drafted to what, the 5th or 6th round maybe?
Not even, don't even think. Joe Burrow obviously goes from a 5th round draft grade from
Tom McShay.
I called him out, by the way.
Yep. You did?
What do you know, Todd? I said, by the way, Todd, very cool guy. I'm a big Todd McShay guy. But he on the National Championship simulcast, fancast, gamecast. What was it called?
Simul?
What I do know is that was a 24-hour day for me, and I was on the sideline just ranting about the national championship. But I talked to him, and he said that what Joe Burrow has been able to do, obviously fantastic, and he's the most recent thing. But if you think about the guys who are potentially undrafted players that could be 6th-round draft picks or 5th-round draft picks, there's a lot more of those than there are Joe Burrows, let alone recruits. And I mean, there is a lot to unfold in the futures of a lot of these kids' lives. But that's not what we're worried about, okay? We're worried about them dying potentially for COVID-19, which I can understand how that's how you can sit, and that's how you can say, and that can be your angle. But when the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 go, I mean, they're going to benefit immensely from this in the long haul in recruiting, their players, everything. And I would assume that the Ohio State fans that came after me, after Urban Meyer came after me, and I ain't no bitch, so I went back after him, they have turned all of their entire vitriol directly at – good word, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What? Good word.
By the way, I almost called it Oriole.
That'll work.
Which is a bird.
Yeah.
Nice bird.
But they turned their vitriol directly at him because I think the Ohio State people who are a cult, okay, openly, understand this is a cult. We live by Buckeyes here. We live by Buckeye football in this state. I actually got pulled over a week after I got my public intoxication for an alleged event. I got pulled over in Ohio going back to Pittsburgh, and there was an entire scene that happened. I got pulled out of my car because they got a tip that a black Escalade on 24s, which is what I was driving. That car was awesome. Nick, how cool was that car?
Best car.
That car was the coolest car ever.
Can't be replicated either, unfortunately.
I would show up in that car at places, and everybody would laugh and then say, that's hilarious. And I was like, I agree. Can't take the 24s off just because the reaction is just always hilarious. But I'm driving a black Escalade on 24s with peanut butter inside, chocolate on the outside. We're talking Reese. I mean, it was a gorgeous car. Bought it the day I was drafted. Didn't have the money for it. Almost got repoed. I mean, it's an entire situation. But I'm driving through Ohio back to Pittsburgh because I wasn't allowed in the facility because I was suspended. I get pulled over. There's numerous cop cars behind me. There's a dog going. I mean, it was an entire scene. And at that particular time, believe it or not, I hated law enforcement. Really? I mean, I was shackled for a public intoxication and put in jail. Where I come from, Pittsburgh and Morgantown, West Virginia, for a public intoxication. They might have given me a ticket, but the cop would have drove me probably home.
Back home.
Protect and serve. Let's get this guy back to his bed. Instead, I was put in solitary confinement. I was shackled. I mean, there's an entire thing. So that's like 4 days after that whole thing. So I still have a little hate in my heart for potential authority at that time. So I get pulled over, this whole thing, and we go through an entire conversation. They pull me out. I'm sitting down. I actually get patted on like the front end of a car. I mean, it was a full situation. And their question to me was, have you ever been arrested before? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, when? I was like, last week. And so their eyes just like pop up, Harvey's, right?
You are the guy we're looking at.
Yeah. They're so excited. And in my head, I know, like I answered that obviously to mess with them, obviously to perk them up because I thought this was so ridiculous. It was so grand. I mean, you're talking about unmarked cars and there was an entire situation happening there. And they go, what'd you get arrested for? I was like, public intoxication. They're like, you got arrested for public intoxication? I was like, yeah. He's like, what do you do for a living? I was like, I kick balls for the Colts. Maybe I'm probably going to get cut though. I'm not good enough to do what I just
now,
did.
I don't
or whatever.
know if that's going to continue.
They're like, where do you live? I was like, I live in Indianapolis. I'm driving back to Pittsburgh because that's where I'm from. And they're like, you got arrested for public intoxication? You play for the Indianapolis Colts? And I was like, yeah. It was a whole scene. I got shackled. I mean, it was. TMZ reported about it. He was like, all right, let me check and make sure your story's accurate, and then we'll get back to you. So I don't know if they went in there and Googled or whatever, but it was a pretty quick turnaround by the cops, and they come out and they go, if you're a Buckeye, would probably have just drove you home. I mean, I can't believe they arrested you. And do you want an escort out of the county? And at that point, I'm like, no, just leave me the hell alone or whatever. But I believe that mindset from those cops about the Buckeyes and what I got to experience on the internet, that is potentially the entire state of Ohio and all of Ohio State fan base. And they know that the rippling effects of this entire thing for not only Ohio State, but for the Big Ten Could be grand. If the SEC gets a season off without a hitch, the ACC gets a season off without a hitch somehow, there's going to be some bumps, and they get their own thing. The ratings are going to be through the roof. Ohio State's not on national TV the entire time. There's no, that Justin Fields potentially wins a Heisman this year. There's no Heisman Ohio State. if we take away and just have a stupid sports conversation without the world coming in about the vaccines and safety of it all, if the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 are able to do a season, and the Big 10 and Pac-12 are sitting on the outside looking in, Pac-12, no offense, does not matter in this conversation, but Big 10, especially with Ohio State, just sits on, they know that the rippling effects could be huge, and we'll just kind of watch it all kind of unfold here. 22 minutes after the hour, we got to get to a break. We got Kyle Brandt, who's the co-host of Good Morning Football that you can watch on NFL Network. He was a former cast member of the Real World Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Hey!
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
And
all-time leader at Princeton, rushing yards.
Really?
Oh yeah,
3-year starter.
I am a big Kyle Brandt fan.
Former cast member of Days of Our Lives, too, for a little bit.
No way.
Former Jim Rome producer.
Yes.
Clone.
Now he is a new host of 10 Questions with Kyle Brandt, which is a podcast that dropped yesterday. First guest was Aaron Rodgers. And there were some things that came out of that, some nuggets. We'll talk to him in about 7 minutes. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, August 13th, 2020.
Last night I was roaming around Canal and Bourbon, and it was a lot of purple. And when you get that Mercedes-Benz Dome, and it starts getting loud and it gets rompous, obviously, not only for momentum and swings like that it can help, but for the defensive line to get a jump. I think that is a big deal. A lot of freak athletes on the field, and kickers are a spectacle no matter what happens. Whenever you're in those high-pressure moments, you normally fall back on your fundamentals. You normally fall back on your technique. You try to take your brain out of it. Cade York hits a beautiful ball.
One person up in the parking garage.
And think about him warming up right now. There's just three dudes in suits breaking down every single move he makes during his warm-up. What a wild scene here for Trevor Lawrence.
Quarterback, number 9, Joe Burrow.
You're supposed to be some draft expert, and you say Joe Burrow was a 5th-round draft pick before this year. Now he's number 1 overall. What do you know? What do you know, Todd? Tim, you are so handsome, it's ridiculous. What do you think has been happening in this first quarter? Why has Joe Burrow been stumped by this Clemson defense?
I think Brent Venables is the best DC in the country, and it's honestly not a shock to me. He did this to Tua last year.
Odell Beckham just stopped by.
Odell's very excited.
Odell's happy with the 52-yard attempt coming from the kid from Clemson. I've seen Odell make this with a spinning ball. And B.T. Potter puts it through from 52 in Odell's. Not in your face. It wasn't in your face. It wasn't in your face. You weren't looking at it.
That's a career high for B.T. Potter.
Bro, imagine Joe Burrow just having to stand in there and know that Isaiah Simmons is scot-free right in your suckle. That's a bad call. No chance Alberto Riverrod would turn that over. He was in the Buccos organization.
Summer's in full action, and we're thankful for our sponsor today, Manscaped, for keeping us fresh. Sun's out, bums out, and hopefully your pubes are not out. Oh, whoa. Manscaped offers all the right tools to keep your hair groomed above and below the belt. Do not read. Manscaped is dedicated to helping you level up your full body grooming game. The Shears 2.0 is a luxury 4-piece nail kit featuring a tempered stainless steel tool, and it includes slash-tip tweezers, rounded point scissors, fingernail clippers, and a medium grit nail file. Wow. I'm going to call the action real quick here.
Action.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code PATM at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code PATM. Summer is here. It's time to manscape.
Shout out to Manscaped. There is plenty of rumor on the internet, and I would like to let it be known that if we were wrong in crediting Ian Rappaport with the news of George Kittle's signing, I guess Pardon My Take broke that. Oh, wow.
Really?
That's what a lot of people were saying in here. By the way, Pardon My Take, if they broke it, I would like potentially the tweet that I watched or read that said that Ian Rappaport broke it to get out and apologize.
That's right. Bleacher Report.
Legit. Go out and apologize. Go out and apologize. And shout out, by the way, biggest sports podcast on earth, breaking news. Good friends with George Kittle. Also makes sense because George Kittle is one of the most electrifying humans on earth. Speaking of electrifying humans, this guy has been there, done that with everything. Cast member of Real World Chicago. And that was back when Real World was like great.
Heyday.
Oh, yeah.
It was great back then. He was also in Days of Our Lives.
Mm-hmm.
He was a producer for Jim Rome. Now you can see him on Good Morning Football every morning on NFL Network. Great show, great cast, great energy. Now he has a podcast that is out called 10 Questions with Kyle Brandt. It dropped yesterday. First guest was our guy, Aaron Rodgers. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Brandt.
I'm so excited to be on. I know I'm in the right place because it's not often you hear ad reads leading into a segment that have the word pubes in them.
Yeah.
But I feel right at home.
Yeah, we are. Well, by the way, I told you yesterday that I hated the way the entire thing was set up, and you said we were going to make this happen. So I appreciate you because obviously we're all big fans of yours. And I don't want to put handcuffs on our conversation. We can only talk for 12 minutes, Kyle, because I like your brain. And if we get going, we get going.
Hell yeah.
Let's lock and roll.
Right.
Let's go.
Hey, let's talk.
Come on, baby. Let's go, Pat.
How'd you do the 10 questions with Kyle Brandt? What's this all about? How'd this get started? You were just like, hey, you know what's a cool segment? 10 questions with people. I'm a good interviewer. Let's get some good guests and launch this thing. Was this by yourself or is this with a company? Is the NFL launching this or what is it?
No, it's got nothing to do with the NFL. I couldn't be the guy who just comes out and says, hey, I have a new podcast. Everybody check it out. Like, there's too many damn podcasts.
A lot of them.
There's too many. So I don't have either the platform or probably the talent to just be, here's my podcast, and I talk, and I have a friend come on, and we just shoot the crap, and that's it. Hit subscribe. So I made up a game. It's like a game where it's a trivia show, and I asked each guest like 10 questions, and then they get a point or they don't, and at the end they get a score.
Oh.
So like you leave with a 2 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, and people are super, super competitive. Like we had Rodgers and we had Paul Rudd, Ant-Man, and like Rudd wanted to beat Rodgers. Like I'm not leaving unless I beat Rodgers' score. It's fun, dude.
And I don't want to give it away, but I assume Aaron won.
You might assume wrong.
Whoa!
Ant-Man. Pat, I got to tell you, before I get out of here, I came up with a couple of questions for you that I would like to ask. I'd like to put you in the hot seat.
Oh, so we can sample.
I thought about it, just a couple.
Okay, let's do it. I'm always.
You want to do it?
Yeah, I don't do
All
well
right,
on
Pat
these.
McAfee.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. I got 2 questions for you. Let's see how you do, and then I'll reveal how they're somehow attached to your life. They're not just random. Your first category is professional wrestling.
Let's go.
Pat McAfee, what legendary WWF-era wrestler bragged about being the perfect athlete?
Oh, it's Kurt Hennig.
Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, is that your answer?
Yeah.
You're right, McAfee.
Way up.
Now, this is important though. In the aftermath, we're like, why am I asking you about that? Not only just wrestling. He says he's the perfect athlete. Pat, You've been around some ridiculous athletes. Who is the greatest athlete you've ever been around?
I'm going to say this not just because he was on the show the last 2 days. Darius Butler is the smoothest athlete I've ever seen in my entire life. He was a corner for he was drafted by the Patriots. He played corner for us, then he moved to safety. He could do anything. The guy could do absolutely anything. I think, honestly, and this is not just because he's my friend, I've just seen him play basketball against other guys that are good at basketball. I think he could have went to the NBA if he really wanted to. I think Darius Butler, potentially best athlete I've ever seen. But then on the flip side, while I was giving that answer, I thought about Shane Leckler telling me to punt the ball into the stands because Tyreek Hill would catch it and run right past me before I even got my head up. So there's a lot out there, but I like D-Bud a lot.
That's a great. I figured you'd just say Reggie Wayne or somebody like that you've been around, but Butler is an awesome answer. Who knew?
Well, you got to know, like, corners are normally, right, by all accounts, everybody knows, like, the corners are the best athletes on the field because they have to mirror the best athletes on the field. Now, Julio Jones, there's specimens that play wide receiver, and there's obviously Reggie Wayne, incredibly intelligent and great athlete. If you're in the NFL, you're a great athlete, but corners are normally the people that are, I don't want to say talked about as the best athletes, but it's kind of like understood, like, oh, that guy right there. That's why if any of them have a strain or anything, it's a big deal because it's like, oh, they're going to get exposed out there because you're on an island. D-Butt would be the guy I'd say, but then I saw Tyreek Hill 4-1 or something like that, almost right past my face. So, I mean, there's a lot out there, Kyle, but I'm 1 for 1 right now, huh?
You are 1 for 1. Now, the show is 10 questions, but I just have 2 for you, Pat. So you're going to take this thing home, all right?
Yeah.
Now, the pro wrestling category was wheelhouse. I took it easy on you. Your next category, maybe not so much. This category, for question 2, is board games.
Nah, I'm screwed.
In the classic board game Clue, each character is assigned a color that matches their name. Which character is assigned purple?
Oh, it's that the stupid lady. John Lee. Scarlet. Scarlet. It's obviously Scarlet, and that is a game that my whole family played nightly. We were big into the Clue thing, so that is something I understand why you would ask me that question because that ties into my life. I go Scarlet, Kyle Brandt. Is that accurate?
He says Miss Scarlet. And Pat, that is not correct. Miss Scarlet assigned red.
Professor
the one
Plum.
Assigned purple is Professor Plum.
You guys stink. Hey, don't come in here. Don't come in here afterwards, Ty, with Professor Plum. I don't need to hear that. You stink. You stink.
No.
You stink.
No. Everybody stinks.
Everybody
so,
stinks.
Pat, the connective tissue there is you went to Plum High School
Oh.
in Pennsylvania.
Oh, so I like your show. This is a good show.
Come on, dude. It's a little different. So I read the story, and you probably told it, but I haven't. Indulge me. You ran up a bunch of money from gambling and entered like a kicker competition, and that's how West Virginia found you? That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a movie. I'm from Pittsburgh, right? So it's a lot of Italians. Too many Italians, some would say. Some would say too many Italians, but there's a great culture, good food, and there's also some other things that come with a lot of Italians being around. And that was back when the World Series of Poker was huge, Kyle. Okay, that was back when Chris Moneymaker, the slob from Missouri, just won $7 million, and everybody that was in like my type of neighborhood across the country was like, oh, that could be us. So we had games all over the town, okay, all over Plum. Kids had them in garages. They would have them in their living rooms. Like, there was a lot of poker games, and I was incredibly lucky. As people have watched my life, I am a very, very lucky human being. So the cards would come. Like, I didn't read Texas Dolly's poker book. Like, I watched some guys, but it was just like, I always had to believe it's coming. Like, if I was to write a poker book, it's coming, which is whatever cards you need, it is coming. And people hated playing with me, obviously, but I was good, and it did come on a regular basis. And I heard about this game, basement of an Italian restaurant. I needed about $1,500 to fly myself down to this kicking camp about a month before signing day. My dad didn't want to obviously pay for that. I come from a working class family. I was going to go to Kent State to be the kicker there. Would have been Julian Edelman's teammate, I think, at the end, and Josh Cribbs as well. I believe he was there. So I would have had good friends there. But I go to the thing. I win like $1,700 or $1,800 in the first couple hands. Okay, I have a full house, Jack's full of nines, and then I just had to hold on for like the next 4 hours. I end up leaving with $1,400. I get home as my dad's leaving for work. Tell him I need $100 or whatever. We fly down there. I win a kicking contest, hit a 65-yard field goal, miss a 70-yard field goal wide right, hop on a plane. Next morning, West Virginia's in my cafeteria offering me a scholarship. How's it going? With the trophy that I won, by the way, because I left before the trophy happened. So, yeah, I have the dumbest life in history, Kyle. And if that was one of the quizzes, if there was a poker quiz, instead of stupid Dr. Plum or whatever his name is, I would have been 2 for 2, batting 1,000. Kyle, let's talk about your life a little bit here. You were Zito said you were potentially. Are you the all-time leading rusher at Princeton?
No. High school. High school. No. Not even close. Keith Elias is the all-time leading rusher at Princeton. He's a total legend. But in high school, I was. Yeah, I was the leather jacket tough guy in high school, listening to Pearl Jam and driving a Jeep. So like that was me, dude.
I had a Jeep as well. Jeep Lightning. That thing couldn't go to speed limit in a lot of places, but it looked cool. When you played at Princeton, did you play at Princeton? Did you?
Oh yeah, I played kick return. I played running back. I did all that stuff. That's how I have my job now. That was my Jacks full of nines.
Athlete, good memory there too. That's 1 point for that whole thing. Did you know the Ivy League was going to be the first conference to probably cancel their things with your knowledge of that whole thing? Or did that not surprise you? Because for us, when the Ivy League said they came out and canceled, it was like, yeah, okay, like could have canceled it 2 years ago. We wouldn't have even known. But I feel like they were kind of, I don't want to say set the tone, but whenever all the smart people make a decision, everybody else is kind of like, oh, if that's what the brainiacs are doing, that's probably what we should do. Do you think the Ivy League had a little bit of a say in what's going on in the Big Ten and the Pac-12 right now and potentially all of college football?
Definitely, because it's not the first time. It was a few years ago, Pat, that they were ahead of the curve too. I think it was Dartmouth was the first school that started trotting out these mechanized blocking pads and tackling dummies. I don't know if you've seen these things, but they were worried about the head collisions and everything, so they would have these robot pad things that they were lighting up in practice and tackling. Oh. And there's a whole, I don't know, it was E60 special or something on it, but they were ahead of the curve. And it's like the football doesn't really move the needle at all. But I think if you look at the universities and the programs, they're like, listen, if the dude from Yale isn't going to be playing football, then maybe the dude from Texas Tech shouldn't be either. You know, like you got to. These people are going to be president in the future. Let's listen to them.
What happened to you? Why didn't you get into the president run? Instead, you did Real World, you did Rome, now you're doing Good Morning Football. Why didn't you just go ahead and do the president thing?
No, I was the president of my fraternity, and then MTV came to campus and changed my whole life.
What was your major at Princeton?
My major was English. They haven't changed their majors in about 200 years, so there's no communications, no TV, none of that stuff. I'm reading the Canterbury Tales and just pulling papers out of my ass, Pat. It was a rough curriculum.
What did yeah, but you, whatever it did, watching you on TV is electric, and especially I didn't really know much about you. Ty, massive clone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ty's massive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he knew about you, and whenever I saw you on Good Morning Football and I watch you on TV, I'm like, this guy right here just seems like he doesn't stop. Like, it seems like his brain doesn't start. There's always these creative ideas, and I became a massive fan of yours. I started learning about you a little bit more. I assume now the NFL Network tried to launch a show with you. It was like 5 o'clock on a Friday or something. That had no chance.
Oh, yeah.
That had no chance at all. I assume it would have done well. But this 10 questions with Kyle Brandt, if you got Paul Rudd and Aaron Rodgers on the first episode, who else do we have in the chamber here? Do you know?
We've done 4 already. The Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, and Kirk Cousins came on. And every one of them leaves and they're like, oh, you're a 3, you're an 8, you're a 9. And they get so pissed, Pat, because if you come on and you're like, you're the idiot who got the 3 out of 10, and then that gets put on Twitter, like, you look terrible. And they come on, they compete like hell. You haven't lived until you've heard Kirk Cousins tell a story about how he actually tried to pay Creed to play a private birthday party for him at his house. And he goes into how much it cost and why it didn't come down. Like, he's that into Scott Stapp that he tried to get him to play his 30th birthday.
With home wide open! Kirk Cousins being a diehard Creed fan, I don't think I would have not guessed that. But I like that. Some things came out of the Aaron Rodgers conversation. I saw a couple headlines. I have not gotten to listen to it. I will listen to it though, because I'm a big Aaron Rodgers guy. But there's a couple a lot of traveling here. So I got a whole physical to wrestle next week. I'm wrestling next week. I got an EKG, by the way. The heart's fine. Thanks for asking. Wasn't a part of your quiz. The heart is fine. There were some things that Aaron Rodgers said in the conversation that are making some headlines right now. Did it feel when you were talking to him? It's like this is almost like a new Aaron Rodgers. These last couple months, it feels like he's almost like a brand new guy.
Yeah, well, I know, Pat, I know you've talked to him, and I know that you know him, and he's a big fan of yours. We talked about you a little bit on the podcast, actually. But I knew we were ready to roll because it was Friday night. It was late. It was like 8 or 9 o'clock, and that's just when he could do it. So I'm like, sure, let's do it. He sits down. The second, the connected video, audio, and the face just pops up. And he's sitting there with like a bucket of scotch. And I'm like, this is going to be great. And he just hit it. And hit it and hit it. And we talked for almost 2 hours, and he never stopped drinking the whole time. And what was most impressive, Pat, is not that he could just drink like that, is that at the end of the conversation, we're like the 90% mark, we're talking about social injustice and national anthem and we got into all that stuff. Now, he's been drinking for 2 hours, and a lot of people, that would be dangerous territory, but he stands up like an elected official and just starts delivering just pearls. And it was one of those times you got a whale on the line, man, when you get a great interview with a great guy, and you're like, let's just keep riding, and he just kept drinking, and it couldn't have been cooler.
I like the fact that Aaron I think he's become an NFLPA rep as well now. So he's like, I feel like he's starting to recognize that, hey, I am one of the guys that this league is going to be remembered for. Like, down 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, Aaron Rodgers will be remembered with the NFL. And Aaron Rodgers has always been kind of protected because I think he got screwed in the past by media people kind of screwing him over. Then the narrative was always painted like, oh, he's standoffish, he's this, he's that. He's like, well, maybe he's just a little guarded because people have screwed him over in the past. I like that we're getting a chance to learn about one of the greatest of all time, why he's great, and how his brain operates. So I can't wait to listen, especially if he's got a bunch of scotch down there inside of him.
Oh, tons of it. I look at it this way, Pat. There's 32 starting quarterbacks in the league. I think about 24 of them are posers. Like, they just want to be looked at a certain way. They want to give off a certain image. I think 8 of them are genuinely authentic. Like, they're just like, this is me. I think Kirk Cousins is one of them. And I think Rodgers now is just like, I'm a made guy. I'm in season 16. I got a ton of money. I'm the greatest player ever. And he just leveled with me, man. I mean, it was unbelievably cool. And what you're saying about the media biting him, when he got going on sports TV shows and First Take, he just rained hellfire on them. I mean, it was incredibly, really, really loaded language about integrity and selling out, low class. Like, it felt like that had been 15 years of scar tissue just purged. It was amazing.
We had a little bit of that. I can't wait to hear him dive into that a little bit deeper. You're, though, in that media world, like NFL Network. I mean, that is... I don't know if there's rules on what you're allowed to talk about, how you're allowed to talk about, but you guys have managed to maintain a pretty positive show. How hard is it or to tell these executives at these big networks, like, hey, we can remain an upbeat show without just sawing down everybody? Because it feels like that is what sports talk is. And your show is a very positive one, uplifting one. It's a fun watch. It's a fun listen. But how hard has it been for some executives to be like, we could probably get, another 100,000 people if we just were to saw some people down. But then it's also the NFL Network, so it's like a fine balance. How do you guys keep it so positive over there, and are you told to?
It's a great question, Pat, because if one of us, if Schrager or Burleson, whoever came out and said, you know what, I'm going to do a 90-second bullcrap takedown of Patrick Mahomes, that he's a hack and he's a fake, just because they wanted to, it would blow up. You know that. It would get huge attention. But the NFL has zero interest in that. Like, I'm going to quote my dad. My dad watches the show every morning, and he says, look, you get up in the morning, it's 7 o'clock a.m., and you turn on these other shows, and they all don't even seem to like sports. They're just pissed off about everything.
Everything.
You guys are just, you're having fun. There's a smile on your face. It's bright. That's how you want to start your day. And I have to get this out, Pat, especially for the sake of your crew. Some of my favorite moments last fall where we're sitting there grinding through the show. We're doing this. We're trying to think about what to say, and it's during a commercial break. And over my left shoulder, there'd be this large bellowing presence. And it was you walking on the set with your arms out being like, what's up, baby? He's here. We loved it. You busted in like the Kool-Aid man. It was so fun.
Well, I tried to do the Andy Reid coming in. We'll see you Wednesday, Victory Monday. Hey, Kyle, we have to get to a break for radio. Will you stick around on YouTube here?
Yeah, of course, man.
All right, radio. We'll be back on the other side to finish up hour 2. Kyle Brandt joins us and continues to join us at youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show.
You're good.
Clear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the delay.
We're on delay.
We're on a delay. Hey, Kyle, you don't even fucking understand what we're going through over here with our delays and our. Oh, Kyle, there's a 30-second delay. There's a 15-second delay. There's a 20-second delay. Our guy Don, who's in our ear in Culver City, I think he's over there literally juggling 4 computers right now, trying to figure it out. I'm proud of him. Let's get back into it. What is your goal? What are you going to do? What is your goal?
Well, it's funny, Pat. I remember we talked 2 years ago, a year ago, and it was when I had just gotten my own show on NFL Network, and they gave it to me, and I was so excited, and I came on your show to promote it, and you were so great and so encouraging, but you were straight up like, dude, this show doesn't have a shot. Your time's terrible. Like, there's no way this is going to work.
Friday at 5 o'clock. You had no
I
chance.
had a whole take. My whole take was, look, Friday at 5 o'clock, everybody's starting to drink. It's happy hour. Everyone's going to be happy. I love that. And then you're like, nah, that's a bunch of crap. This show's screwed. And I think you were totally right. And I look back on that and I'm like, McAfee taught me, don't convince yourself the time slot is not important. It's really important.
Oh, it is. By the way, that's the internet, by the way. That's the internet is timing, right? That's our world, right? Not so much your world. Our world is timing. And Friday at 5, people are fucking figuring out what they're doing with their life. They are getting out of work. The last thing they want to do is, and now potentially there's people that go home and just kind of watch, and we're in a different world now. But that 5 o'clock time, so I think they set you up for failure. But now that you're 2 years into this thing, multiple years into this thing, are you going to commentate games? Like what is ultimate goal? I think you would be a great commentator, by the way. I think you would be.
Too. And I know millions of people think that about you, but you and I have this in common, Pat, that we've done it a little. Like we haven't had years of experience of doing it. You've done it more than me, but I don't know how you feel about this. I've gotten to do some cool things and be in some cool spots, high profile or big crowds or whatever. I've never gotten a bigger rush than I have calling a game. Oh. Never. It's so empowering. It's so exciting. It's like you got the joystick of the Enterprise and you drive that fucker. Like it is so incredible to do that. And you can toss to the color guy and whatnot. But like, dude, I did play-by-play. And I got thrust into doing play-by-play. I had never done it in my life. And
awesome.
The Bears are like, hey, you want to do a preseason game? I said, shit, yeah, let's do it. It's Bears-Bills, and let me give it a shot. Really hard, but the greatest exhilaration I've had in this industry.
It's the closest thing to feeling like I was back in the game.
Uh-huh.
Because you're going through the meetings, you're watching the walk. Now, granted, I don't know for the preseason game, but for me, you're going through the meetings, you're in the building, you're talking to the strength coach. It felt like you, and like going into the game, you feel like you're preparing for a game, and then right before kickoff, you like have that feeling where you're like, okay, here we're about to be live here. Let's not say anything too stupid, but definitely stupid enough to be entertaining. Let's go for it. It felt like a real feel. I hope you get more opportunities to do that, but honestly, I just hope you keep crushing it, man. You are fun to watch, dude. You're different than everybody. You're not fucking boring and terrible. And I like that because you're breaking a mold for a lot of people, and I don't even think you know it.
I hope I'm really flattered you said that, Pat. I almost didn't get my job on Good Morning Football, and you would relate to this just because you understand how this industry works. When their show started, it's like, all right, we have Kay. She is a female anchor. That's great. We have Nate Burleson, an ex-player. We have Peter Schrager, an insider. And then they're like, who is this other guy? Like, who is this maniac? He didn't play in the league. He doesn't have contacts. Like, why is he on the show? That's not how football TV shows are made. And the company that produces the show were like, we just want to try a wild card. Just give him a shot. He's a little different. He has a lot of energy. And if you hate it, then we'll get rid of it. And for the first couple of weeks, I think they hated it. And then, like, thankfully, they let me stay. But, you know, you're an ex-player, certainly, but you also break the mold, too. You get it. You're not like this guy who is the all-pro wide receiver and a million Super Bowl rings. You're just your energy, and it's sometimes that's what people want.
Well, I love your energy. I can't wait till you want to get a question. Yeah, for sure. Hey, Jim Rome, a big Jim Rome guy here.
Yeah, one of the biggest.
Oh, dude, I love that. So, have you ever called?
A couple times, but I was still, with school and everything, the timing didn't really work out. But yeah, once or twice I did. But
did
Kyle,
you get run or racked or anything? Come on.
No, I didn't get on.
Oh, you didn't get on?
No, I didn't get on.
You?
It's too bad.
Didn't turn the phones off.
All right, what are you
going to do?
Loser.
Yeah, well, I probably would have brought some heat. But given your past and being on the Real World and everything like that, I'm just curious, did they ever reach out to you to be on like the Real World Road Rules Challenge? Because I feel like with like your profile and your electricity, you would have been perfect for that. Someone to maybe try to take out CT.
I'm flattered. Yeah. They asked them the first few years after I did the Real World. And then they stopped asking because I was sprinting away from that because I was going to be the next Matt Damon, and I couldn't let that type of violate my integrity. So, no, I did not. But here's the thing. Every once in a while, now I'm 41 years old now. I got 2 kids. And I get that middle-age itch. You know what? Fuck it. Maybe I'll go down to Cabo and jump on some ice blocks and wrestle Johnny Bananas, and maybe I'll win some money. Why not? You only live once. And here's what talks me out of it. As soon as I think I'm going to talk to my wife about doing that, all I need to see is one promo that says, this season on the challenge. And it is nothing but like HGH maniacs and bandanas sucker punching each other and triple kisses and body shots and night cameras. And I'm like, I'm out of here. I got 2 kids. I'm done. I'm not doing that
Kyle,
shit.
we just got back live on radio for that last little run there. I would love to hear them here. HGH maniacs and headbands. Oh, Kyle. There will come a time, I think, though, where you'll want to see if you can prove whether or not you can still do it. I mean, I just assume that happens with everybody. And I think there's other ways to do it. But, boy, if somehow somebody just gives you like $100 million to do a show, it does well, and you're like 46 years old, and you still got a little bit, I hope to see you back in there because I think it'd be awesome. But I love you, Kyle. Ladies and gentlemen, check out 10 Questions with Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football, from The Real Road, from Rome, from Days of Our Lives, and potentially at one point, the next Brad Pitt. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Brandt.
You're the best. Love the crew. Love you all. Anytime. You're the best.
Cheers, man. Have a good one. I'm a big Kyle Brandt guy.
Man, what a personality.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'd like to see Kyle in a professional wrestling avenue with another Real World alum.
Who's that?
A guy I know by the name of The Miz.
Hey, Mike Mizanin, by the way. There is a guy who took something from the Real World. He called himself The Miz every time he got drunk and started going crazy. Then he was hated in WWE, right? Like the first year, everybody hated him. And I think he wanted to be, right?
He's had a very, if you ever get a chance to talk to him, he's had a very interesting career path.
He's top guy. He's one of the top guys right now.
Like he's literally one of the guys that went from being universally hated, but behind the scenes, obviously, to the place that he's at right now. The guy's worked his ass off. You can't really cut him down.
He's awesome. That Real World Road Rules I was in for sure whenever I was growing up or whatever. I appreciate Kyle Brandt. Can't wait to listen to that podcast with A-Rod and also Paul Rudd, and he's got more coming. I mean, good
Honey
for him.
Badger.
The Honey Badger coming. Good for him. Can't wait to listen to that. Can't thank everybody enough for listening and watching this show. It's a very dumb show, but we appreciate the hell out of you. I am 9 days away from my wrestling debut against Adam Cole.
Hell yeah!
We are in a war. Okay, the wrestling community hates me. So if you would like to go to war with me, I'd be very thankful. I'd be very appreciative. We have 9 days to figure it out. I'm going to try to find some abs too. We'll see if that happens. I'm not eating anything. But we will be back manana. This has been the Pat McAfee Show, August 13th, 2020. All right, now we're just on YouTube. That wrestling community does hate me, though. I'll tell you what. I haven't had that type of, since the Ohio State people on Twitter. And I want to let them know, I fucking hate them too. So
fuck them.
Hey, I let you know, I hate you too. That is how I feel. In 9 days, I honestly, it's not real war, obviously, but we are going to war with a group of humans. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to put on a fucking hell of a show. And I am going to look good. I am not going to look bad. And I'm going to be undefeated like I am right now whenever Sunday the 23rd comes around, the day of SummerSlam.
I'm going to tell you, and this is an unbiased opinion, and those who know where I came from, obviously.
Man, sorry, I worked WWE for 11 And his name, and by the way, his name is not Sinceri. It's Mansuri.
Hey. Shout out to AJ Hawk.
Yeah,
shout out to AJ Hawk.
AJ could not get his name.
Where's Vinny Sinceri? Heard that like 5 different times.
Sorry. But
I think I got Mitch, Matt, Mark.
Yeah, you got Mitch a few times.
Yeah.
AJ better than advertised, by the way, in person.
My God.
I never spent time with AJ in person. We've always FaceTimed. We've been around each other a little bit. We did the college tailgate show together, and there was another time we were in together in the same room. These past 2 days, getting a chance to hang out with him and Darius Butler with the boys. I mean, it was
what a time.
Fucking
what a time.
Darius Butler too. Also
weapon, 100%. But anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Unbiased opinion.
Okay.
And what I've seen, obviously, from your work that you've been doing here and your training and everything. If I were Adam Cole, I wouldn't short sell Pat McAfee. And if
or
I were
the wrestling community.
And if I were the internet wrestling community, I wouldn't short sell Pat McAfee.
Everybody can eat shit, by the way, in that wrestling community. I don't give a single fuck about any of them.
Well, I mean, look, right? Like, you're the outsider. So naturally, you're automatically going to be pegged as a poser, as a guy that doesn't belong, as a guy that can eat shit if he thinks he can do what the men and women that, step into that WWE ring do on a weekly basis.
You know what?
You're going to be hated regardless.
I agree. I'm going to be hated regardless. And by the way, I'm the first.
Maria Menounos got booed for fucking wrestling a match.
Well,
tough match.
Tough match. Tough room.
Right here, or you're talking
life?
She's probably a very nice lady. I don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
She talked to me like I was a 12-year-old the entire time I was in the same room as her. I was very thankful.
Whoa.
Is that
What was that, man? Sorry, you don't need to. She was a very nice.
No,
lady.
another laugh.
That's a laugh.
That sounds like the Joker there a little bit, but
Samson in there.
I've been at NXT longer than a lot of people that are in NXT right now, though. Doing the pre-shows. Now, not wrestling, obviously, but I've been doing work with NXT. Like, for instance,
That's where we met.
For instance, my contract with them did run out. Like, so everybody was like, "Oh, he's under contract with WWE." It's like, no, I was not. Whenever that whole Adam Cole thing was, because I did those pre-shows for so long,
And then you were done.
and I was done. And I was like, "Hey, my schedule's crazy. Your guys' schedule's crazy. I've enjoyed the hell out of it. I don't know if I just want to be a pre-show person for you guys, anyways. I think I kind of want to, like." Get in, and they're like, well, we have somebody, so sorry, I'll see you later. So then whenever we go back and do something down there, I start looking around the room, and I'm like, oh, I don't know many of these motherfuckers around here. And that's because the turnaround, obviously, and the amount of talent that's down there. But all these people that I don't even know who, I've loved NXT since the beginning. I don't even know who this guy is. It's like, well,
you clearly haven't been
then
watching.
you didn't watch the fucking pre-show, did you, pal? Because I turned that thing into the show a couple times. I mean, so let's go ahead and relax. But I got a lot of respect for the business. And I think that is something that has not been talked about. I am not going to go in there and disrespect professional wrestling inside the ring. But I'm also not going in there and be a little bitch either. Let's not get it twisted.
You said it. You want to go in there and put on a damn show.
Fucking show in there. Yeah, man.
But to your point about respect, right? Anytime you ever came into WWE, specifically the NXT shows, you always did conduct yourself. You didn't fanboy, but you showed everyone that you had a deep appreciation for the art of the business, for the respect that the business is founded upon. You never went out of, you never belittled it, you never besmirched it, you never kind of hot dog or big time to anybody. I think that's what always made you a welcome presence. I like the dynamic that you now stepping in between the ropes.
This is a whole new world.
It's a whole new world.
And by the way, there's been a lot of conversation amongst friends and family here that are like, how do you think this is going to go? And I'm literally like, I have no idea. Now, granted, I've done stand-up in front of 6,000 people. I've kicked off a Super Bowl. I do a live show every single day. Especially, I do a live show the last couple months in unprecedented times. I've done a lot of things in my life. But getting in there, I have no clue how this is going to go. Like I'm actually kind of excited to see how I and I think I handle situations a little bit different than most people. And I think I've learned that the more I've talked to people about how they handle situations and think about things, I enjoy the thought of me potentially eating shit. Like I do stand up every once in a while. I'm not good enough to be doing it right now. And I've actually stopped doing it completely because I watched the last time I did it. I was like, then I watched Chappelle's show and Bill Burr's show. And I'm like, all right, I do not need to disrespect the stage and the microphone ever fucking again like that. So until I get a good set, I'm going to go do it. But when I walk out there, now granted, standing ovation every single time, sold out theaters, like 27 of them straight. I mean, let's not,
right off the plane.
Let's not get too crazy. Yeah. Let's not get too crazy here. Okay. But sometimes when I'm up there, because I don't do like 4 shows a week, and the stories I'm telling, it's like the first time I'm telling them to a crowd, maybe to anybody, like a lot of people aren't hearing it. And every once in a while, I'll just like veer off of said story, and I'll be like, all right, well, fuck. Good luck with this one, getting out of this one. But like in front of 6,000 people, it's like my brain is just like fucking with me. Like, all right, good luck. Let's see if you can get out of this. And it's always like a little mental obstacle. Like, all right, how do we get back on track without ruining the entire flow of the show? I'm excited to see what happens. I'm very, very excited to see how and this might sound so incredibly self-indulging. I get very excited to see how I will react to things. Whenever I did commentating for SmackDown, because I have no idea what the fuck's going to happen. Like, I have no idea how I'm going to react. And I think that is potentially a wild card thing that a lot of executives say about me, because they don't know how I'm going to act, because I don't know how I'm going to act. Whenever we were going to do that SmackDown commentary, I was on that plane just so pumped. I'm like, what the fuck is going to come out of my mouth? I cannot wait to see how this goes. That's how I've been training my ass off here to hopefully put my best foot forward, because I was getting ready for the wedding. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I was getting ready for the wedding, and then this whole thing pops off, and it's like, well, I can carry that into this, and I've kind of kicked it up a notch, obviously.
235.
But I am very, very, I've lost like 20 pounds at this point, but I am very, very excited to see how it goes in there. But I am not scared at all. He yelled at me last night he got fucking angry on it. He got very angry in that promo, daring me to come to see him next week or whatever. I am not scared at all.
Well,
anything.
Not to jump to his defense, but you did kind of kick his fucking head off.
I did, and he said that it was because he was being held back. Well, hate to break to you, pal. Cerebral, bro. Yeah. Hey, I see an opportunity. Fucking gone. Bang. What a show today. I like Mike Pouncey. I liked that conversation with him. He seemed enlightening. Mm-hmm. I feel like I learned a lot from that. I hope he comes back on. Love that he had fake chains on. Kyle Brandt, what a conversation with that guy. That podcast sounds like a really good idea.
Yes.
So whenever we started this podcast, A lot of people don't know this. When I started doing the show, we had the U quiz or U trivia. U trivia, where I would quiz. We go through people's Wikipedia as a guess, and we would quiz them about their own life. Okay, and that's kind of what he's doing, but he took it to a much more creative, better level. And I want to let you know, I love that idea. Like, I love the U trivia. It was one of those ones where I was like, I think this would be good. I think this would be good. But we had to fall off because people are getting a lot of questions wrong about themselves, and it always fell flat. The fact that he made it so much better, and in getting these guests, and they're in on it, like, I am pumped to listen to that. But his whole story and reaction, and I like Kyle Brandt a lot.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Man. I'm happy they gave him a chance over there at NFL Network.
I wonder, one of 8 genuine quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, those other 7, Russell Wilson?
Mr. Unlimited.
Brady. Yeah, who else?
Paul Rudd, Aaron Rodgers, Tyrann Mathieu. Who else did he say? Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Kirk was the 4th, yeah. Those were the only 4 he did.
Kirk Cousins, big Creed guy.
Good for him, by the way, for being so honest.
Who, Kirk?
No, Kyle.
Yeah.
Good for him. Like, most people, especially if they're so closely affiliated with the network that represents the league, would probably kind of dance around a lot of the shit. He went right in.
He ripped it. Yeah, he ripped it on YouTube, too. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's why people like him, though, because all those – oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Pat, we should probably steer away.
There's just like – okay, so a lot of the TV, now that because he said to me, now that you know the business a little bit more, there is something to not knowing how these places operate and then getting in and seeing how it operates and then having a much greater appreciation for why some shit happens, why it doesn't. Big plug and place. TV has been a big plug and place, especially in the sports network world. It's like, okay, this guy's, boom, we'll take him out, we'll put the exact person that it was right back in there. Boom, bang, boom, bang. Oh, this person's retiring or didn't do as good. It's okay. Pull him up, put another person in a suit that played in that particular position and can maybe talk a little bit. And we can maybe hopefully put them in some positions to battle, and then we'll go to commercial break. That's what sports television has been forever. And they've made a lot of money doing that. A lot of money. And all the people that are executives have become executives because of this said model. And most of them go from like producers to this. So they were a part of building the model that is sports television, okay? So whenever you're somebody that they can't just plug in place, right? Which a punter, by the way, who is not scared to be very comfortable with my resume, what I've accomplished, and also be friends with mostly everybody in the league. Like, there is no plug in place for that guy. So,
what is this guy, funny on the internet?
Yeah, you going to make me laugh?
Is he funny on the internet? I don't get it.
I don't get it. You going to make me laugh? Huh? You funny? You going to make me laugh? I was told that by an executive, and I want to let you know, my ability to not hold my tongue also has probably fucked me in some things. Because that guy that said it to me actually said, I don't give a fuck if I make you laugh, pal. The world will laugh or whatever. You go, oh, and then he just walked away. So I never got a call back from that company ever.
Really?
Not a one time. Not even a text. Not nothing. I was like, well, it probably blew out. I'll wait for you to get fired for whatever reason. You will. You guys get fired, and then I'll be off and running. But that's why TV is the way it is, and that's why the fact that Kyle Brandt got on that show is a big deal, because he isn't just the plug in place. And you got to give credit to the NFL Network for doing that. Now, granted, the NFL Network has some things that people say about it, about the way they pay and the way things operate and what you can talk about, what you can't talk about. I think letting him on that show was a good show. I don't mind Good Morning Football.
No, it's good. You mentioned it, like, they don't saw people down. Like, Skip Bayless has been making a living off of just sawing people down.
By the way, there is the perfect situation of what Aaron Rodgers is probably. That guy makes an entire living off of just being a hater. Mm-hmm. And I guess, though, there's two ways to look at it. Congratulations to this guy for making probably $50-60 million and getting on television, and every word he says, people kind of hang on to it. Congratulations for doing that. But then there's the other side, like, how the fuck do you sleep at night? All right, how do you sleep at night? And I would assume that the people they keep around them and everything like that are like-minded people. So maybe Skip, by the way, maybe Skip isn't a hater or fake. Maybe he does believe all that shit, but it is hard to believe that a human with eyeballs believes the things he does, but he does numbers. And for a long time, sports TV did numbers with that type of shit. But I think we are kind of changing. And the people that aren't changing are those executives. Mm-hmm. And then once those executives get canned, it'll be an entire new world. And that's what we're here for.
Old thinking gets steamrolled, man.
Oh, yeah, it will. But old thinking makes a lot of money for a long time. So, I've had to justify some people's decisions. Like, well, I guess if I'm them and I've made a lot of money doing it this certain way, and that's why
But I think it's that justification that keeps it alive.
Oh,
You know
so
what I
you're
mean?
saying this is my fault?
No, I just mean in general. I
Sure
think
feels like you just said it was my fault.
you just happen to perpetuate that idea.
But it is real. It is.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, but hey, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I believe, is the future of sports television.
Hell yeah.
Ponder that shit. Oh, here we go. Got to talk about this. It is alleged that ESPN tried to lure Sean McVay away from the Los Angeles Rams to be the Monday Night Football color commentator. And that was obviously coming fresh off of the Jason Witten, Booger McFarland experience that they had, where they were trying to find a new booth. They went after Peyton Manning numerous times. They went after Tony Romo numerous times. They went after everybody under the sun. My name, I guess, was up there on the internet and with other people, but never really in the conversations for the actual job. And once I realized that, I kind of stepped away and started thinking about the booth because I grew up watching Monday Night Football. I think everybody did. Monday Night Wars, Monday Night Football. Monday nights were the best night of television in my childhood. I mean, it wasn't even a question. You had a mini Super Bowl every week on Monday night, and then you had Raw and you had Nitro. I mean, it was just Monday nights throughout my entire childhood and life, basically, were the night to watch television. And you think back to those magical moments with Madden and everybody, and even Gruden, when he was in there, he's entertaining as hell. Monday Night Football was the place to be. So whenever the last couple of years have happened, and granted, the games haven't always been great, although that Rams-Chiefs game is still talked about as going to go down as one of the greatest games of all time. You see what's happening over there, and for whatever reason, it didn't work, right? For whether it was chemistry or ability or whatever, for whatever reason, it has not worked here for the last couple of years, and it's almost become the laughing stock, right, of football, I would say. So everybody knew that ESPN, and by the way, same people are in charge that have made those decisions at ESPN. So once that all became known by me, and I knew that there was no chance, I legitimately became like, okay, let's get it right then, because I would like to watch Monday Night Football and enjoy the hell out of it. So when they were pursuing Peyton, I didn't think Peyton was ever going to take it. But I thought Peyton would be great at it. Right? And the only reason why I didn't think Peyton would take it is because that's 4 hours on an open microphone for Peyton Manning. And although Peyton Manning is genius and knows football better than any human I have ever seen, 4 hours on an open mic, there's a lot of fill in that thing too. And does Peyton want to give away stories or anything like that you know what I mean?
Or hurt his image at all?
Like anything. And Peyton, by the way, Peyton wants to get in a movie right now. Yeah. He could be a lead. Oh, yeah. Peyton wants to do anything. He could do whatever. So Monday Night Football could potentially only, I don't think, elevate Peyton. I think, if anything, it keeps him the same or goes down. But I thought Peyton would have been great. I just didn't think he was ever going to do it. Anybody that knew Peyton, I think, was assuming Peyton's not going to do that. Then Tony Romo. I'm like, hey, if they can get Tony Romo on Monday night, I'm here for it. I've enjoyed Tony. I enjoyed it because he seemed like he enjoyed football, which is kind of what Kyle talked about, how a lot of the commentators, they're so just like this. It's like, do you even enjoy what you were talking about right now? Let's get a little energy here. You're trying to set the environment for people watching it. Because you are setting the environment. That's what commentators are doing. You are setting the environment for the game that is happening right now. If it's time to lay off and let the crowd do it, the crowd's doing it. If you need to tell the story a different way, tell it. But the people, you are watching the game with millions of people, and they're expecting you to inform them, enlighten them, entertain them, and ultimately, at the end of the day, give them the best show you could possibly give. So I was like kind of taking, like, all right, I hope this happens. I hope this happens. I hope this happens. And when the Sean McVay rumor came out yesterday, I believe, I got a lot of tweets from people that are like, oh, they've literally tried to hire everybody but Pat McAfee, right? Like, I got a lot of tweets, and I appreciate those people. And I want to let you guys know that have been following along and watch the show. Hey, we're going to war in 9 days, and I am going to need you for the next week or so, because I am getting slaughtered on the internet by the wrestling community, and I would like my internet to be a little bit more enjoyable than what it has been. So I don't want to say I'm rallying the troops, but hey, we go to war in 9 days. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go. But whenever a lot of people were like, oh, fuck ESPN for doing this or whatever, I heard about Sean McVay potentially becoming the Monday Night Football months ago, and immediately upon hearing it, I was like, that would be awesome for Monday Night Football. And even after watching Hard Knocks, that reaffirms my initial reaction even more so. He talks fast, he talks efficient, he is entertaining. We've all seen him obviously break down plays, so he'll know what the hell he's doing. He's never done it before, which is interesting because the thing I was told is we're not going to get a rookie in the booth anymore or whatever, you know. I was given a kind of every excuse, and I found like, oh, y'all motherfuckers just don't want to hire me, so I'm going to back off. But I think he would have been very good, very, very, very good at it. And if you look at that Rams situation, They are cap strapped. They are in a situation where it's almost like I don't want to say a rebuild, but it does feel as if it's like a rebuild, the way they're going to have to do that thing. That whenever that was originally told to me by somebody who would know if that's potentially going to happen, I was like, that would be a fucking great hire. And because it would have been, I knew it wasn't going to get done. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to get done, but that motherfucker would have been good in there. And I think everybody who's kind of expecting me to potentially be mad about them trying to lure a coach out, it's like, no, I think that would have been good TV. The only people that I would have got mad about whenever I thought there was a chance of me getting in there, if it was a motherfucker I knew I could just walk circles around on the microphone, which, by the way, I'm okay going against Sean McVay as well, but I think he is a very talented guy, and I would have loved that. But I don't know who they're going to get. Oh, they got Greasy, I guess, and Riddick. But then if college football doesn't happen, they got Fowler, and they got Herbie. But I think Steve Levy, people are going to fall in love with Steve Levy. I love that dude. He's an absolute legend. I got to call that simulcast with him. And then there was a time, remember, there was a time there where our simulcast, our gamecast writer for the national championship was me, Adam Amin, Steve Levy, and Dan Orlovsky. And there was a time for that Monday Night Football thing where Adam Amin left for Fox, and it was going to be Steve Levy and Dan Orlovsky. So there was only one human in that simulcast, gamecast, which I was told by focus groups scored higher than any other thing that they've ever done. There was only one motherfucker that was potentially not going to get a gig anywhere. And I would have potentially went on a rant then, but Orlovsky, he got pissed off very much so. And for me, I knew quickly I wasn't going to be a part of it. But I would have liked Sean McVay in there. I would have liked him a lot.
What would they have to give him, though, to pull him out of the Rams while he's just coming
give
up?
it to him.
Money-wise, I mean.
Well, I feel
20 or whatever.
Yeah, he would have got way more money doing Monday Night Football than he is for coaching the Rams, I would think.
Yeah.
I would think so as well. But I would assume that he reached out to all the other coaches that have gone in there and into the booth. Because you got to, Matt Brown was in the booth, Gruden was in the booth. A lot of coaches go into the booth, and then they ultimately get back in the game.
But keep in mind when those guys went into the booth, right? Like that was kind of later in life for them. McVay's still young.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's got time on his side to where he can afford, if you take 2 years.
5 years even 10 years.
Yeah. Try it out, and you still come back and you're your early 40s.
And by the way, you could go GM route if you wanted to.
I think he's your age, isn't he? I think he's 32.
32, yeah.
34. He's a year older than me. But
is he?
Yes.
Still.
So he could do that for 10 years and then go be a GM or a coach wherever he wanted to be, especially because whenever it was told to me, I was like, oh, that'd be interesting. And then we sat around and we talked about it a little bit. It was like the Rams are in a situation where it's not good. It's not good right now. He would be coming into a position where, no offense, obviously, you can only go up.
Yeah.
Can only win at the situation from a public perception. And if you have Levy in there with him, Levy is a G that's going to make him look very good. Not testatorism, but Levy is a guy that can lighten things up, and he's just so smooth. I was like, that would be a great hire, and ultimately it didn't get done.
And it's kind of a gamble, right? Because if you, let's say McVay does, he continues to go on and coach, and that stock drops in L.A., you know what I mean? Like, why are you going to put a losing coach in the booth on Monday Night Football?
He could get in, I think, if he wanted to at any time, he'd get in the booth strictly because of that interview he did with Sims.
Yeah. His recall and everything.
Every play he's ever had.
And Hard Knocks, by the way, is only going to up that dude's
For
stock.
sure. For sure.
I bet you there was a lot of TV people hoping that the Rams stink.
It does, but you're only as good as what you did yesterday.
Yeah, but I think the TV people are hoping that the Rams potentially stink because the narrative will be for the next couple of years, unless they go out and go 7-9 or which is possible. Which is completely possible for the next 3 years. McVay, boy wonder, genius. That's that's the narrative about him. Because I said that the other day about them building the outdoor facility, and everybody started attacking me. They're like, anything this motherfucker does, they say he's a boy genius. The guy got stone colded by Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl, and last year they weren't good. And I was like, okay, I agree. The guy's 32 years old, coach. So can we fucking relax a little bit?
Fucking Belichick.
And it's Tom Brady also, and I'm not gonna say Goff didn't deserve that.
Well, he kind of did. He missed Cooks by, he was 3 or 4 seconds too late.
Oh, he had that Jimmy G situation there.
Yeah. Well, not even that, because Jimmy G was a little fart. Brandon Cooks was wide open in the end zone for about 5 seconds before he finally threw the ball.
That's gonna happen.
I love it. I love the guy. Good for him.
By the way, I think people called that the most boring Super Bowl in the history of Super Bowl.
Not me.
Yeah, they did.
Not me. That was awesome. Remember every play, just like Sean McVay.
Let's get out of here. 16 minutes afternoon here on the Eastern Daylight Time.
There we go. We learned something new.
When did that change?
Daylight savings.
Oh, so Eastern Standard Time is whenever we were fucking on the other end of the sun thing. And then Eastern Daylight Time is whenever we're on the other end of the clock thing.
Spring forward.
EDT.
Wow. Yeah, Foxy. I lived in EST my entire life, by the way.
I've never heard that.
Me neither. This fucking guy, as soon as he came in, I was like,
That's
hey,
what I'm here for. I'm
blah,
here to
blah,
learn you, brother.
I'm here, blah, 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 Eastern Standard Time. I walked down and he goes, Eastern Daylight Time. I was like, what is that? Even
Don't
fucking
besmirch
mean?
us.
Hey. And then I looked it up. Dude, he was right, by the way. He was 100% right.
I love that I get second guessed also. I mean, granted, I did fuck up Miss Scarlett.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Professor fucking Plum.
Boy, we got back late this morning.
We did get back late.
We got back late this morning.
How was that flight back? Good?
Fast.
Clean?
That's
Yeah.
great. We learned a lot about AJ Hawk during that
AJ
flight
Hawk,
back.
dude.
Wide open still.
Oh,
man.
That guy.
He was a self-opening pinata this entire trip, just the gift that kept on
It
giving.
never would have. By the way, he was a mute at one point in his life, like an actual mute, would not talk. High school, early in college, and then somebody like I think it was his wife, like kind of like prodded him to
Mangle,
open up.
too, I think.
And I am very happy that he has. That guy entertains the shit out of me whenever he's talking. I mean, just entertains the hell. I mean, he's obviously terrible person.
Terrible.
Oh, diabolical to a T.
Terrible,
Toxic
terrible,
person.
toxic person.
Yes.
But boy, it is hilarious. I mean, that Chuck Berry video. We got. Oh man! All right,
You're welcome.
It has been Thursday,
I gotta take a
August
piss.
13th. We appreciate you all so much. We will see you. We should do a YouTube question, I guess, because we are on YouTube. Zito, is there any in there?
Let me check real quick.
You think Drew Brees is going to stink in the booth?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
I do too, and I like Drew. You don't.
No. But that has nothing to do with whether or not he's going to be good in the booth.
I mean, he talked for 30 seconds, almost canceled his entire
Yeah,
career.
exactly. Unless he's got someone writing his whole monologue for the entire show.
Which-
He's working off prompter the whole time.
Yeah.
He's working off prompter.
I don't know
the
if
whole
you
time.
can.
Someone's gonna have to write really fast for him then.
Those opens were very interesting. Whenever I was doing the games on Thursday night, when I was doing those opens were very, very interesting because Adam Amin, fucking good.
Yeah.
By the way, Adam Amin, very, very, very good. Hasselbeck and I, great relationship. So we very much. But there was a couple times where they wanted to pre-record. Let's pre-record this. Let's do this. And Adam Amin would go to bed. He's like, let's
go live.
Let's go
Rip
live.
it.
Let's
Yeah.
just. There was a couple we did pre-record, but there's a majority of them we went live. And I am terrible at rehearsals. Anybody that knows me and has ever seen me operate, rehearsals are just not where I'm at because I'm self-aware enough to know that I cannot deliver what is to be delivered the second time. Like if I hit it the first, like my first time is going to be my best time, no matter what. Like this is going to be it. That's why I can't do stand up 4 nights in a row. Like I have to do it one time because the first time I do it, it's going to be good. So there's a couple times where we rehearse or whatever, and those things, and I would just say like, well, this fucking team, they're going to come out and play hard and just keep them moving.
Pat, you can't say that.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, make sure whenever you say it, we talk about this, this, and this. I'm like, yeah, like, just can you have a little bit of faith? And they're like, well, we just want to make sure that you hit the point. I'm like, okay, please, just a little bit of faith here. And
Yeah,
they're
but
like,
just make sure you hit this.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is the A story of the game.
Okay,
You can't say fuck also.
Cowboys.
You have 10 seconds, by the way, to get this all in, which I cannot do.
And stand by on camera in 3, 2, 1, and you go.
And that's exactly it. And Adam would set me up or whatever. In the rehearsal take versus the live take, I would have liked to be in the truck because it was a remote operation. So they were sending the feed from where we were doing games to Connecticut. And then it was coming back into our thing. So we couldn't watch replays. We couldn't watch the screen.
That makes sense.
Which, by the way, WWE was the only teaching I had for announcing from Michael Cole. And all they do is watch the fucking screen because that's what the fans are watching and that's who you're talking to. So, but with this Thursday Night Football, couldn't do it because it was 5 seconds behind. So if you're talking about what's on the screen, we're already gone by that point, right? So I would have liked to see the first couple weeks whenever we did a rehearsal and then live, the reaction in the booth. And then the XFL as well. The XFL, whenever they did a rehearsal and they sent it down to me on the sideline, and that was a whole new crew that had never met me before. And I think they hated that I was even on that crew. And obviously I was like the what's that called? Like the
Casted off.
the redheaded,
redheaded
or like the
child.
black sheep or whatever.
Black sheep, yeah.
Oddball.
There was not a lot of respect for anything that I was about with that whole operation over there from the casting to the entire operation, right? It was like, yeah, you're the guy on the sideline though, so please remember that or whatever. So that rehearsal, Joey Galloway, love him. Was it Tom Hart?
Tom, yeah.
He's very talented, but they took the rehearsals very serious, okay? Very, very serious. And then they threw it down to me, and it was just like, new fucking league here, Vince McMahon, we're going to have a great weekend, back to you guys or whatever, and there I could hear the panic in the producers.
God.
They did
Why
not,
is he rehearsing that way?
They did not want me, by the way, in the crew, I don't think, to begin with. with. And then after they heard the rehearsal, it was like solidified the fact they're like, oh no, we don't want this. And then we go live, and I cut this promo for the XFL, and then I send it back to the booth, and I could hear just the shock in the ears and in the booth, basically, about the difference from rehearsal to the difference from live.
Wow, that guy's actually pretty good.
Oh, that guy just, you sound articulate.
You were funny and charming.
Oh boy.
I gotta get better.
I understand you guys think.
Hey, by the way, that is why I am. That's why we don't get any sports Emmys, because those types of things. I am not professional enough to be able to perform 7 times in one day for one shoot. I just can't do it. But you know what? I will grow. I will learn. We will get better. And that son of a bitch on the couch becomes EP of the show starting in September, I believe. And I'm pumped for it. I am very. We're gonna have a very busy fall, dude.
Hell yeah.
By the way, I don't know if it's going to be as busy as last fall. I don't know if I'll ever put myself into that schedule ever again.
You'll die if you do.
I think there was a couple months there where we were dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just kind of moved. I've looked back on a couple of those shows that we did then, and I'm like, I'm probably running on 4 minutes of sleep on that show right there. Mm-hmm. And then there's a couple commentating clips that get recycled that I called, and I'm like, I know that game. I didn't know a single player on the field's name. I didn't have a clue because we're coming. This show, get up. Indy, New York, tiny town in this, boom, boom, boom. It's like, I don't know any of these people's names. I'm just going to keep it moving and all that shit.
The show we did after the Stanford game, we got back on the flight at like 5:30 in the morning and had to. I mean, it may have been the worst show the next day, like in the history of talk shows.
Maybe. There was a lot of those.
What are you going to do?
What do you want? Yeah. And we learned from that. See, these are things we learned from. Maybe we don't just say yes to everything, because for a while there were 0 opportunities coming to me, right? So when I retired, no television networks, like they actually said no. I had like 750,000 followers at this point. I had already done an entire stand-up tour. I already had an entire merch business. I had already done a lot of things at this point, and I knew I was going to retire. And every network literally said, no. I just made a Pro Bowl. I mean, I was all pro. I mean, there was everything that you could possibly have. They're like, no, thank you, right? Because of that plug-and-place thing. So Dave Portnoy, by the way, just signed Deion Sanders, which, by the way, was the only person that really gave me an opportunity there. So whenever we end up doing our own thing away from Barstool, I get asked, like, hey, would you want to do this if you were able to do this? I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm not going to say no to anything. Like, yeah, I'll do that. Hey, would you be willing to do this? Yeah, I'll do that if that's an opportunity. Would you be willing to do this? Yeah, I'll fucking do that if that's an opportunity. And then the thought was that somebody would be like, okay, we don't want you to do that. We don't want you to do that. We don't want you to do that. Instead, the answer was yes, you'll pay you shit, but do you want to do all this? It's like, I did not expect all these things to do. So what am I going to do? We're going to be on 6 planes a week. Oh, and we're going to add game day in the middle of this thing. It was just like, all right. But we learned a lot. We aged a lot. And I think it was a hell of a run that we'll probably make a documentary about in like 10 years from now.
For sure.
And people will not, I don't think people will believe that it happened, because who knows where we're headed. But the amount of people that followed with us through that entire thing, there had to be some moments where they laid their heads down and they were like, how have those guys not died yet? They were in, California yesterday. They're in Indianapolis today. They're in Memphis tomorrow. And then they're in New York on Sunday. Then Indianapolis on Tuesday. Then they're in Texas on Wednesday. And then, by the way, have to be on the entire time.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And act like I know what the fuck I'm talking about in a lot of things. And I feel like I did. But some of those Thursday night games, I'll tell you what, I mailed it in on the research. I did mail it in. But I don't think you could tell, because Adam Amin was so smart.
That's why I had Adam.
And Hasselbeck was so smart. So I just had to go in there and be like, oh, tell you what, number 14 right there.
Thank God for player numbers.
And then Hasselbeck, there was a couple times where Hasselbeck was like, he's been doing that all season. Yeah. Of course I watched this guy's film. Of course I did.
Saw it last week.
I've been watching it for this whole time. Not to mention, I was hired the day before the college football seminar for college football. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was... But that's everything. Hey, how you doing?
Keep it moving.
We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.